Yeah, well, hello everybody. My name is Evane. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. And this is the fourth time I'm attempting to record this video of me reading all the leftover lore for Mondstadt and Liyue. Still a little bit sick. I'm sure you can probably hear it in my voice. I don't have a lot of time today. Actually, I have less than an hour. So I feel like if you see a lot of cuts in this video or jumps between time, or maybe like even if my voice changes throughout the recording, it's because I'm probably going to be recording this in bits and pieces throughout the days, because I'm just not finding the time to sit down properly and like record everything in one go. Before we start, we get into it, I do want to say that the prototype and the Blackcliff weapon series are not going to be included. I did read them, but they're not going to be included in this video because I feel like you could tell that I was bored when I was reading them. Like they were not doing anything for me. It was basically just talking about Hanmu and Hansi, who were like the blacksmiths who created the weapons. It referenced the chasm a little bit, like what happened in there, but again, I was not really interested about like anything that was happening. And I had recorded that bit when like my sickness had just started out. So my voice was even like extra bad, and I did not like that portion of the video. I apologize, but that part is going to be cut out. But we're going to move on. And now I literally, as I'm recording this, I just got a text about my mom. Okay, yeah, we're suing someone. I just got that on text. Brother. Okay. There's legal trouble as well to add to my list. It's okay, I'm fine. It'll all be resolved quickly, hopefully. But we're gonna start with where's my notebook? I had everything down. We're gonna start with a bit of the Millilith lore, and we're gonna start with the tenacity set, which talks about the Millilith, and there are a couple of weapons here that relate to the Millilith lore, so we're going to be reading them. We have the Lithic Spear, a spear forged from the rocks of the Guyan Stone Forest. Its hardness knows no equal. A weapon favored by the Millilith of yore, made from a lith of the Guyan Stone Forest, said to be able to pierce even through dragon scales. Its great weight prevents the Millilith of today from equipping it. Oh, it's really heavy. Okay. In ancient times, the Millilith would conduct themselves in Rex Lapis's name according to this axiom: while rocks stay hard, the mountains shall never fail. While the Millilith stands guard, evil shall never prevail. In the past, they went forth to subdue demons and protect the roads and the countryside. In these peaceful times, their duties have shifted to maintaining order. At a certain point in the past, the earth did shake and the mountains did tremble. Then the Millilith gave out equipment left over from the ancient wars to those among them who were of unusually great stature. These were the incredibly weighty lithic spears, and they were used as a shoveling tool to rescue the injured. The lithic spear pierces through rocks with ease. If 1,000 such spears could be lined up in formation today, none could stand before them. Yet in an even earlier era, when the world was in yet deeper turmoil, every soldier in the Millilith could wield those colossal weapons. Thus were they able to protect Rex Lapis's kingdom and defend their homeland. With 1,000 lithic spears lined up in formation, no evil could prevail against them. After that, it's the lithic blade, which I'm assuming is also made from the same material. A weapon favored by the Millilith of yore, carved from the divine bedrock upon which Liyue Harbor was established. It is incomparably heavy. No ordinary human could lift this blade, let alone wield it in battle, and yet records state that the Millilith of old could use it with ease. The Millilith was an organization first founded on the initiative of the followers of Rex Lapis. Its history can be traced to when the port city was first completed. Under Rex Lapis and Liyue's banner they march, and will never desert it, whether in advance or retreat. While rocks stay hard, the mountain shall never fail. While the Millilith stands guard, evil shall never prevail. The Millilith warriors adhere without fail to this code, and for it they would die without regrets. They follow in Rex Lapis's footsteps to the best of their ability, slaying monsters, protecting the citizenry, and keeping the peace in Liyue. The Millilith made its name not in slaughter but in defense, using their own bodies to shield their homeland. This great sword of unmatched weight and hardness mirrors the duty and the will of Liyue's guardians. Xing and Han, the two members of this armed force who first carved stone into swords, must have known in their hearts that in the future, those who had the strength to use these stone swords would grow few, but this also meant that the world would be at peace and neither guardians nor swords would be needed anymore. Oh, I love that sentiment. So Xing and Han were the ones who crafted these swords from the stone, and while they knew, like, when the future comes along, nobody would be depending on these like exceptionally heavy weapons, but it would also be a signal that no one needs weapons of this stature anymore in the future. I love that. So now we're going to transition to, what was the set called? Tenacity set, which I believe, yes, the sands, the time dial, I found it while I was exploring the chasm. So I do wonder if this is going to reference just the Millilith who were at the chasm when everything went down. And I'm wondering if I found the time dial in the chasm, I'm wondering if I'm going to find like the rest of the set over there when I continue exploring. But for now, we're going to start with the flower. A flower made from gold leaf. It represents the glories and honors attained by its wearer. In an age when solemn songs were sung from the cliff tops, a meteorite once fell into the chasm. A meteorite? Also, what happens in the chasm wasn't solely because of Ajdaha. Oh, brother, that place is cursed. What the hell? So that is the meteorite what caused the chasm to look like the way that it is? So it felt like straight through, and like the impact made the chasm kind of cave in, and then it goes below. I know that the chasm has like an underground layer to it that I haven't gone yet. I'm assuming it's part of the quest associated with it. So if I eventually go there, I wonder if I'm gonna find like pieces of the meteorite. That would be cool. In an age when solemn songs were sung from the cliff tops, a meteorite once fell into the chasm. Out of the depths of the boundless night sky above, the iron meteorite plummeted to the ground, turning the earth to glazed sand crystals on impact. Though human life is fleeting, Rex Lapis personally ordered the Millilith to rush to the defense of the mines. As the abyss flooded forth, the Millilith escorted countless civilians to safety. There were abyssal creatures coming out of the chasm. Was it because of the meteorite? Like, did it pierce that far down? Miners tell tales of a small number of troops from the rearguard who remained in the chasm. Together with the nameless Yaksha, they fought courageously until they too made the ultimate sacrifice among the jagged rocks. Oh, nameless Yaksha. Was it someone that Xiao knew? Who was it? I know the Geo one and the Hydra one, if I'm remembering from the cutscene, they fought each other and they killed each other. And then, what was it? I know Zhao is the only one alive, and then there was one who we didn't know what happened to. Like, they went missing, I believe. So is that, maybe that's them, the missing one? Did they die in the chasm, maybe? Together with the nameless Yaksha, they fought courageously until they too made the ultimate sacrifice among the jagged rocks. In times, the names of both mortals and adepti alike were forgotten. In time, even the mountains and rivers change form. Yet there will never come a time when their honorable deeds shall be forgotten. Like this gold-leafed flower, they will shine on forever. 500 years on, the harbor city remained as steadfastly peaceful today as the day the disaster was quelled. And still, the true... Did this also happen 500 years ago? So this happened during the Cataclysm as well. Brother, what the fuck didn't happen during the Cataclysm? Durin and Mondstadt happened at the same time. And then this in Liyue. Is the Abyss here because of Conria? Are these two associated? Because I know the Abyss Order and then the Abyss itself are like separate entities. Though I don't know why they call themselves the Abyss Order. Is it just like an extended organized form of the Abyss? I don't know. And my sister is related to Conria. Okay. So this also happened 500 years ago. Goddamn. 500 years on, the harbor city remains as steadfastly peaceful today as the day the disaster was quelled. And still, the troops wear this golden flower with pride, in honor of the sacrifice made by their forebears. After the flower, it's the sands. A simple device for telling time. This was once standard issue for the Millilith during times of war. A hardy timepiece powered by sunlight and moonlight. Sun and moon. I'm just saying, sun and moon. Capable of capturing rays of light even on the darkest of days. When Liyue was threatened by a pitch-black malice, this time dial helped the soldiers to remember the warmth of the sun. In the course of fighting side by side with the Yaksha, these mortal soldiers could not escape being contaminated by karma. Oh shit. or harmed during the slaughtering. To avoid being consumed by the darkness of constant killing, the Millilith soldiers used this timepiece to silently mark the passage of time during each battle. They fixed a unified marching pace and schedule so that one squadron of mortal soldiers would take the battlefield as the one before them retreated. This cycle of advance and retreat continued all the way to the depths of the chasm, where Yaksha and valiant soldiers both fell. 100 years later, this timepiece was unearthed by a miner. Its bronze surface sparkled in the bright starlight. Urban legends tell of a collector of curos wearing black robes, who roamed the market streets one day buying up time dials and paying a generous sum for each one. Some sellers queried him, curious to know what his reasons were, but he deftly deflected all their questions with an array of excuses and other verbal tricks. As for what this individual's true motive was, perhaps only the unyielding forward march of time can finally deliver a satisfying explanation. A collector of curos wearing black. Only person I can think of for some reason is Pantalone, because I know he's rich and he wears black, like the black robes. Also, I was looking at fan art of him earlier today. Do you guys know? Do you guys know who this is referring to? You don't have to tell me who it is, but I'm kind of curious. Collector of curos. After the sands, it's the goblet. A golden cup used by the Millilith to take their oaths still bears the lovely scent of wine. When the Millilith was first founded, Liyue was still a savage and dangerous place. The elders of towns, villages, and tribes would pledge oaths of allegiance within a golden cup. As a show of loyalty to Rex Lapis and duty to their countrymen, they selected valiant soldiers from all regions. These soldiers became known as the Millilith. They would go on to take up arms with Ayaksha in battle, fighting from the rearguard. They too drank from that golden cup. It was a final toast to the benevolent and majestic Lord of Geo. With their gaze fixed ahead of them, they stormed into the abyss. Hundreds of years later, a conceited adventurer retrieved the cup from the depths of the chasm and washed away the imperfections. Miraculously, the cup remained whole and untarnished by the passage of time. The pitch dark of that subterranean realm had failed to remove its radiance. Yet, more centuries passed. Eventually, the people of Liyue would tell tales of an era of catastrophe and a nameless Yaksha. Tales of how heroes from disparate heritages and different lands united under a single banner against the abyss. Inevitably, the tale would touch upon the cup and how the blood of those that went before remained clear and spotless as the day it was spilled. Oh, okay. So I guess it makes sense. So I found the time dial. Well, someone's time dial. There were a lot of Millilith that went into the chasm. So a lot of these pieces were found by so like there was the curious collector who found the time dials, or who was buying the time dials. Then there's the adventurer who found the goblet. So a lot of people who went later on to visit the chasm kept finding pieces of the Millilith's stuff there. After the goblet, we have the plume, a falcon feather worn on ceremonial occasions. It displays the dignity and resolve of Liyue Harbor to the outside world. As a mark of military service, the Millilith used the feathers of high-altitude birds of prey to adorn their uniforms. These tail feathers are only worn on ceremonial occasion. They boost the morale of the citizenry and fill visiting outlanders with a sense of awe. It is said that in its inception, the ceremonial custom was inspired by the nameless Yaksha. I was gonna say maybe it's like the Geo Yaksha, but I'm pretty sure he's the one who died fighting the other one. Just because of like the color scheme of the tenacity set. In the heat of battle, when the Yaksha was engaged in fierce combat with the Abyss, some of its plumage was stripped away. The feathers that fell to the ground were seen as a symbol of hope. In the end, the brave Yaksha and fearless citizenry would sink into an exhausted slumber in the dark lair of the enemy. Rex Lapis was moved by their sacrifice and observed a prolonged vow of silence among the low murmuring of the mountain stone. The people claimed that the nameless Yaksha that defended the chasm was not, in fact, under the command of Rex Lapis. What? Instead, they believed that it was an act of redemption from a long-standing sin, a price paid for cowardice and a dereliction of duty. Oh, okay, no wait, so this might be the missing Yaksha, the one who, like, yes, maybe he ran away? In his point of view, he would see it as a price paid for cowardice. Okay, so when they say not under the command of Rex Lapis, it's not that he was there because Rex Lapis told him to. It was like a choice to make up for the fact that he left. Whatever the truth of the matter, the Yaksha that had once soared through celestial heights had now returned to a free existence amongst the clouds. As for the soldiers trapped in an eternal slumber in the depths of the chasm, their legend continues to evolve with the flow of time. I wonder if we'll learn more about the nameless Yaksha when we go to the chasm. Then for the final piece, we have the circlet. A splendorous helmet from ages past. Clean the dust away and it will look brand new once more. The commander who fought together with the nameless Yaksha fell in the line of duty, as did the handful of his compatriots who fought alongside him, to ensure that the afflicted civilians could safely escape and to maintain their honor in the eyes of the Lord of Geo. The helmet-clad troops of the front line took the lead, pointing their spears towards the abyss and charging into battle. Disaster arrived in the land of Glaze, and a horde of ancient foes came surging forth. At the order of Rex Lapis, the Yaksha fought a bloody battle against the warped creations of the Abyss. Oh, was the Abyss mimicking ancient foes? Because I was wondering, I was looking at that line and I was like, did people that were fought earlier, or monsters, whatever, that were fought in Liyue's history come back? But it seems it might be a further creation of the Abyss, like they mimicked monsters that were previously fought in Teyvat. The fight went on until the last drop of blood had soaked into the battlefield, and all that was impure had been cleansed. As the tide of the Abyss receded, the glazed sands shone gloriously once more, but when the gloom that had filled the skies above the chasm had finally dissipated, the Yaksha disappeared without a trace. As for the general and his men who left their helmets on the battlefield, they rest there in peace forevermore. It doesn't say that the Yaksha necessarily died in battle. It just said he disappeared. He could be dead. I wouldn't be surprised if he's dead. But I'm wondering if there's any hope that they're alive. You know, at this point, I'm just going to assume everything that happens in history happened 500 years ago. Because what the hell? This is actually insane. But that wraps it up for the Millilith lore. Now we're actually going to be moving to the Wanderer's Troupe set, and we're going to start with the Goblet. An ancient, strangely shaped canteen. The interior is fitted with harp strings, which plays a wondrous tune as the water flows out. There was always music in the life of a Troupe member, even when drinking water. An ancient tale tells of a wandering troupe that roamed the land. For flutes they had swords, and for harps they had bows. They performed not only for friends, but also for foes. They traveled through the desert and set foot in the blazing Mare Javari. The tune of the harp echoing in the kettle was a reminder for them. Along with the boundless tunes we walk, wherever there is music, there is us. Wait, I love them. Are they just a bunch of traveling bards? I love that. But they went to the Mare Javari? The Mare Javari is in Natlan, right? Somewhere. So they either came... Well, they did say they traveled through lands. It didn't actually say where they're originally from. So either they came from the east and traveled all the way west, or they came from north, and then, like, they went from Fontaine to Sumeru to Natlan, or they came, like, Mondstadt, Liyue, Sumeru, Natlan. So their starting point would either be Fontaine, Liyue, or Mondstadt. Okay. After the goblet, we have the flower. A small flower-shaped insignia. There seems to be music coming from it. Among the members of the troupe was a charismatic swordswoman, beautiful as the light on water, elegant as the chirping lark. Her every slash hummed a tune of the wind. See, this just makes me think of Mondstadt and Fontaine as well, the mentions of water and wind. But then again, if they are traveling troupe, they could collect people from everywhere. The end of each song and dance was like the sun after the rain. Dust has since settled, and both the stage and life itself felt emptier for the absence of her music. Both her music and her sword were as lethal as they were beautiful. This was in keeping with the troupe's performances, which were intended for two very different audiences. For the audience of foes, the music drifted far beyond the stage. Wait, I would have loved to see the way that they fought. If their fighting really was intertwined with music, it would be beautiful to witness. Next we have the feather. The fletching seems to produce a tune as the arrow flies through air. The harpist of the troupe was also a skilled archer. Legend has it that he could lure the birds in the sky with his harp and then shoot them down with his arrows. It is said that he never looked at the sky while he was playing the harp to lure the birds. Some believe the reason was his harpist's arrogance, while his companions said it was his hunter's mercy. Oh, so he wouldn't have to look at the birds as he killed them. The ill-fated birds became the fletching of the harp's arrows. The sound of the harp became the bird's elegy. Next is the circlet, a beautiful top hat untouched by time. Listening closely, one can almost hear an ancient tune echoing inside the hat. Thousands of years ago, a troupe wandered through the lands. The troupe owned not a single shred of sheet music. What they saw was what they sung, and what they heard was what they played. As time passed, the troupe gradually realized the vastness of the world. There are so many things in the world for us to sing of. The members then turned the notes into words and recorded their journey in a book. This book, the Witzith, as they called it, was still held tightly in the conductor's hat, even after his death. Oh, wait, I'm so sorry. Wait, I really like them, though. Just the energy, the positive outlook that they had of life, the wonder of walking across all of the vast lands. Finally, we have the sands, the troupe's hourglass, which is also a harp. The tune became deeper with the passage of time. When the performance was coming to an end, the troupe would play this harp. As time passed, the tune of the harp became deeper. The sound of the harp dying down marked the end of the show. Everything has an end, and the troupe was no exception. One by one, each member of the troupe met their fate, and their instruments were buried deep in the dust. As the harp fell silent, the final sound heard from the musical troupe was the faint trickle of sand as it slid down the hourglass one last time. Wait, so there's this swordswoman. Did it say what she played? Her every slash hummed the tune of the wind. Okay, so we know there's a swordswoman, a harpist, and a conductor. Well, we have to read the Witzith now. I want to know what they wrote. A heavy notebook filled with musical scores. Though suffering from moth damage and heavy wear and tear, there is still much power to be found among the handwritten words within. A notebook that was shared among the members of the Wanderer's troupe. It contained musical scores and travel journals. The history of the Mondstadt troupe has been lost since it was disbanded. Before Mondstadt was rebuilt. The notebook records the experiences of the troupe, the lands they roamed and the worlds they witnessed. It siphons great power from the records of the troupe's performances, as well as the cheering of the crowds they performed for. The Wanderer's troupe was founded during the reign of the aristocracy. Okay. Many refer to it as the swordsman troupe, some out of hope, others out of fear. Even poems and songs were denied the right to freedom in that era. For flutes they had swords, for harps they had bows, and their song was an anthem of rebellion. Their final act was an attempt to storm the city and impose the death sentence upon its tyrannical rulers. So they are from Mondstadt, or their journey ended in Mondstadt. The swordsman tropes had gone, and with it the memory of their rebellion, but the spirit of resistance they embodied will always flow in Mondstadt's veins. Wait, let's read some more. There's the bell, which is a claymore. There we go. A strange great sword decorated with an exquisite clock. The distinctive sound of clockwork served as a combat rhythm for the wielder and their friends. After the Wanderer's troupe disbanded, the great sword was soaked in acid. The gears have rusted because of this. Even so, it still makes for a lethal weapon. One by the name of Kreuzlid? I don't know how to say it. Kreuzlid. Let me see if I can find how it's pronounced. Kreuzlid. One by the name of Kreuzlid traveled with the Wanderer's troupe, once a member of the ruling... Holy shit, Kreuzlid! You're the GOAT! Once a member of the ruling Lawrence clan, now a traitor and outcast. In that time, scholars and bards paid no heed to history, for the aristocracy preferred to remain willfully ignorant of their own moral degeneracy than face history's judgment. But the aristocrats trembled in fear at the sound of this blade as it flew through the air, for it was the toll of the bell of judgment. It was not made public what punishment Kreuzlid met with after the failed uprising. This in itself is a statement to his privileged origins. Yeah. Though not of any fault of his own, since he rebelled, but legend says that after being dismissed from office, his desire to continue the legacy of his fellow rebels led him to establish a secret society aimed at bringing down the aristocracy. It is also said that he gave his full assistance to the enslaved gladiator when she revolted. Oh, Vanessa. In the past, a popular rumor was that Kreuzlied's secret society was working constantly in the background, helping the Knights of Favonius keep Mondstadt safe through deeds that no knight should ever be a party of. It was even said that the wolf pup Rostam ran this organization in secret behind the Grand Master's back. I was just about to say, this reminds me, this is literally what Diluc is doing today. If this secret society still exists, I know Diluc is working it right now. And again, further parallels between Rostam and Diluc, and then Erendolan and Varka. I love Mondstadt. I really, really love Mondstadt. Next we have the flute. Beneath its rusty exterior is a lavishly decorated thin blade. It swings as swiftly as the wind. I wonder if this is the woman's sword. A nimble sword with holes and delicate engravings on the blade. The sword once made the sound of a flute when wielded by one with the requisite skill. The pitch and tone were determined by the swinging angle. This sword was buried when the Wanderer's Troupe disbanded. Unearthed years later, it has long since lost its ability to sing. Even so, it still makes a lethal weapon. Among the members of the Wanderer's Troupe was a valiant, sword-wielding dancer. Yeah, it is her. I was wondering if she was a dancer rather than anyone who played an instrument, but I wasn't quite sure. After the Troupe's attempt to tear down the ruling class failed, she was enslaved as a gladiator. Oh no! Though all her hope and all her companions were lost, still she fought bravely. Her sword sang with the radiance of the morn's light, and she was dubbed the Dawn Light Swordswoman. In his youth, the Dawn Knight Ragvinder was in the retinue of a knight. He went with his master to watch a gladiator match and was moved by the Dawn Light Swordswoman's splendid finale. Holy shit! He named himself the Dawn Knight in her honor, and knew in his heart what he must do next. Oh, this is how Diluc's ancestor decided to join the rebellion. Oh, and it was all thanks to her. But what a terrible fate met her. What the hell? It seems like the Troupe made an attempt, they failed, then I guess everything that happened with Vanessa and Venti's involvement comes later. Next is the stringless, a bow that once served as an extraordinary— oh, is this the harpist's bow? It is no longer capable of getting people up and dancing. An exquisite instrument with strings of different material on every section. When struck, every string trembles, creating flowing music. But it is also a bow, one capable of firing arrows that target the heart. Where the music from this instrument leads, death shall surely follow. After the Wanderer's Troupe disbanded, the harp's strings were cut with a dull blade, creating ear-piercing noises. Only the bowstrings now remain. The instrument's lofty melodies are lost, but it remains a deadly weapon. The Wanderer's Troupe could make birds fall from the sky, sometimes with the tune of the harp, sometimes with the arrows that followed the tune through the air. Just like the wind that elopes with the harp's tunes and the flowers that grow on a star-snatched cliff, the harpist was both playful and determined. After the uprising failed, the Wanderer's Troupe disbanded, and its members fled. The harpist stayed till the end, deftly plucking the instrument's string and raining down a torrent of arrows to protect his comrades. He played till he exhausted his repertoire and his arrows. The harpist was from a magnificent and enchanting land of Fontaine. He had left to travel the world in search of his true destiny. It is said that all the ladies of the court of Fontaine wailed with grief when they heard the tragic news that he had left without saying goodbye. The story is that he fell in love with a humble Mondstadt woman. Everybody keeps falling in love in Mondstadt. But she was then selected for the miserable fate of the Ludi Harpastum princess. It is claimed that he had no regrets about dying anonymously in a foreign land. The only thing he regretted was finally discovering true love, only to never have the chance to sing another love song. You know, just when I think that I could not hate the aristocracy even more, I reach shit like this. God damn it. So many lives were unfairly taken away, so many stories ended, and for what? For what? A greedy man's entertainment? I know they're already died, but I wish them an even, I hope it was a painful death. Next we have another artifact set, the Resolutions of Sojourner. The traveler from a distant land pinned this flower close to his chest. The traveler left a life of great privilege to pursue a wandering, unburdened life. In a foreign land by a clear lake of sweet waters, he met a frowning maiden. A traveler from afar. Not like it matters. You're a musician? Well then, pray do not insult me with empty praises or song. Just remember me as I am, as one about to be offered up as a sacrifice for the festival. Oh, is this how the harpist met the Mossat woman? The traveler who had abandoned his homeland pinned this flower close to his chest. He wished to remind himself to love no one and become attached to nothing. Yet he would remember that maiden as he had promised and walk into the fire for her sake. This is not going to make me cry. It's just not. Next is the circlet. The departing traveler would take this crown of willow branches as a final memento. With it he would remember his lover, now departed like a dandelion on the breeze. The traveler was the wandering lyreist, and that maiden in the country of wine was a prisoner of the nobility. For reasons he knew not himself, his lyre song revealed his true heart. What would move me, you ask? Well, it would be your smile. I've never known you to smile after all, not even once. I will break the chains that bind you. When that time comes, would you let me see you smile? Yes, and thank you. It would be wonderful indeed if you could do that. Pretty words, but who could trust them, coming from a singer? Oh no. God damn it, this is sad. This is horribly sad. Next is the goblet. A lyre has 4 strings. The day he spent with his comrades in the Troupe were probably the happiest of his life of wandering. At first, it was just a chance meeting with the conductor, but for the invisible strings of fate. First came the girl who used a flute as a sword, and then that fellow Kreuzlied. One by one, the traveler met them all. In the joyous tavern, the lyreist introduced a maiden he had met by chance to his comrades amidst the singing and dancing. The drunken traveler strummed the strings and sang in a loud voice. With them by his side, he would never have to travel alone again. Perhaps it would be all right to walk with them till the journey's end. Why does everybody I like have to meet a tragic ending? The sands. The traveler pursued both fate and the inexorable passage of time, the trope that resisted the aristocracy, and their end could be seen in the eternal flow of time. In the course of a long journey, even the most well-made watch might cease to work. The only unfailing marker of time was the passage of the sun and moon. So to chase formless time, the traveler could only pursue light itself. The great halls of the nobility, the rebellious Troupe with no room to lay their heads, both were churned just the same by the flow of time, and both, like fleeting dreams, raced towards the same destruction. Under the moonless night sky, the dark shadows drew upon the outlander's tired face. The songs are spent like arrows few, to the choir the curtain calls. Shall I ever see you smile anew when the tower in the city square falls? Hope was ripped to shreds by ruthless might, and promises of reunion disappeared like fleeting shadows. The wandering traveler had once again lost a place to call home. The condescending evil stole his love's joy, and the endless conflict ground down his irreverent soul. Those gentle, playful rhymes of revelry now turned to sharp, icy clangs. For his comrades, for his best friend, for the tables around which none would again share wine. For freedom, for life, and for revenge against that evil that had taken her smile. Thus resolved, the traveler plucked his last string and fired his final arrow. As he grew accustomed to life in this foreign land, he gazed up at the azure sky. So the sky here was the same as the one back in his homeland. That got me a bit. That almost, like, if there was one more piece of artifact to read about this story, I would have cried. So I'm glad we're stopping here. I'm glad that this was the final piece. I feel so bad for the harpist. I feel so bad for everyone. You know what I really hate? I hate how good they are at telling a story. The way they would, like, rhyme certain lines, the writing, the exposition. I mean, the story in itself is heartbreaking, but the way it's written just makes it 10 times worse. Get out of my face, Hoyoverse. And finally, for the Wanderer's Troupe, we have Venti's weapon, the Daybreak Chronicles. The songs of resistance come hither on the wind to settle as gentle tones upon these strings, their combined power great enough to rip boundless darkness asunder with the light of the breaking dawn. I was actually going to mention this earlier while we were reading, but I kept getting distracted. The way Venti fights is so similar to the lyreist or the harpist, with his bard and then the arrows that would rain down. Kreuzlied, have you ever heard the pipes call out in the dusk? Have you heard a voice in the wind sing, farewell, goodbye forever? We shall not weep for you, for the night breeze will bear our tears away. Yes, comrade, it shall bear our tears away. They say that there was once a traveling musical troupe who conspired to assassinate the ruling house. Among them was a renegade noble scion named Kreuzlied. A tune was written for him after the plot failed. His real name was, of course, not Kreuzlied and has been lost to time. The word Kreuzlied itself used to mean the quartering song in the old tongue. In those days, when the nights grew long and the dark hung low, quartering was a cruel punishment that left its victims begging for the release of death. Deserters, bandits, rebels, and makers of moonshine would be executed in public in this manner, while the ruling aristocracy basked in their dreadful cries. In those days, when one could not see the light of dawn, Kreuzlied became a byword for those who rose up and failed. But in this way, it has also become the rallying cry for rebellion. The Kreuzlied of the traveling troupe has had their name lost to time, yes, but it matters not. For by then, Kreuzlied had already taken on countless monikers carried on the wind in song. The Nameless Shepherd, Lavawalker, Midnight Rogue, Dawnlight, Gunhilder, Ragvinder, till at last the final Kreuzlied would awaken from 1,000-year slumber, answering the small cry of answering the small cry of a foreign maiden who had drifted to this land, just as he had once been born from the wish of a certain youth. The songs that told of Kreuzlied would be fashionable for a time, but in the end they would leave the lips of men, for in the time after the darkness there was no longer any need for this name. Kreuzlied, have you ever seen the horizon turn white? Have you heard the maiden sing to the wind, farewell, goodbye, forever? The morning sun has kissed away my tears and told me that dawn has broken. Oh, my lover, the dawn, it has broken. This was a beautiful way to wrap up the story. It was like the bow tie that brought everything together. The fact that Kreuzlied became a title that has been passed down for people who shared the original Kreuzlied's ambitions. The Nameless Shepherd, Lavawalker, Midnight Rogue, Dawnlight, Gunhilder, Ragvinder. Till at last the final Kreuzlied would awaken from 1,000-year slumber and bringing it all back to Venti when he awoke and got rid of the aristocracy. Oh, this was beautiful. This was absolutely beautiful. I don't know if it's because this whole part relating to the Wanderer's trope played into music and poetry that the way it's portrayed just feels like 10 times more beautiful than any artifact set or lore that I've read before. I love the way that the story was delivered to me. I love it. And honestly, this just adds to my love of Mondstadt. I'm not gonna cry, even though the tears like at the corner of my eyes. Oh, I love this. I love this so much. Okay, for the next section, we are gonna cover the Bloodstained Night. We are gonna start with Maiden's Beloved. The Maiden's flower, fresh and elegant, just like its original owner. The book says that the species of flower has long been extinct, just like that passage the maiden had read countless times in books. The damsel in distress was saved by the white knight in shining armor, and they exchanged flowers as blessings to one another. Though a maiden's heart is said to change with the seasons, just like a flower, this flower remained constant, for her heart had stopped in that moment long ago, the moment she met the knight. Ooh. The fact that wasn't there a white knight, right? It was the guy who Rostam mentored. Where are my notes on that section? Wait. Yes, it was. The white knight is the one who Rostam mentored, Roland. So is this about a girl who fell in love with him? I know it's from a passage of a book, so maybe not, but it feels too intentional, I guess, to not at least think of it. But let's see. Next we have the plume, an old but delicate feathered ornament. After many years, it is now covered in layers of dust. For the maiden, time stopped still the day she met the knight. Nothing mattered to her anymore, not even love and youth. She sought him constantly, wandering far like a lost bird without a nest to cling to. May my love reach the knight, she prayed. Meanwhile, the knight dedicated himself to the pursuit of chivalry. In a distant land where ancient empires crumbled, would the knight see the scenery she dreamt of? I mean, I want to preface this by saying I don't have anything against women having a crush. Even like down bad crushes, like you know, we've been there, and I know what that feels like. But wandering floor like a lost bird without a nest to cling to, she saw him constantly. Baby, I need you to stand up. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Like, I understand, but stand up. For the plume, we have the goblet, the maiden's most cherished tea. Wait, does he even like her back? Actually, that's a good point. It was once filled with elegant black tea. Indulging herself in pastries and tea, she cared not one bit about the mundane world. This was her privilege as a maiden. This flower shall be my medal. It is all I need, the knight said to her on the day they met. Oh, okay, wait, but my heart is already... Not finishing her confession was her privilege, but also the chains of court lines the maiden had to bear. Ah, is this forbidden love? Oh my god, is that the trope? They can't be together? The circlet. Even when surrounded by flowers from her quarters, the maiden never removed her hat to get a better look at them. Their names and faces were not worth remembering. Oh, wait, she's really in love. For years, at the end of every day, the maiden would brush off the dust on her hat, but the passage of time showed in her face too. And unlike the dust, it could never be brushed out. Oh, did he go and not come back? As time passed, fewer and fewer quarters visited her with flowers. What did it matter? For her, time had already stopped long ago on that faithful day. Is he not returning her affections? I thought he liked her back when... Because they exchanged flowers, and then he said, this flower shall be my medal. It's all I need. Wait, go back. Go back to the first one. Damsel in distress was saved by the white knight in shining armor, and they exchanged flowers as blessings to one another. Well, it could be... Oh, wait. It could be that he died during the cataclysm as well. Finally, we have the timepiece. A delicate timepiece. It stood as a testament to the inevitable passage of time, indifferent to its owner's feeling. The maiden's time would one day come to an end, but her waiting would not. Oh, that's so sad. She waited till the end of her life? The short hand seemed to be constantly chasing after the long hand, much like the incessant longing that filled the maiden's heart and mind. Years after that event, she still remembered the night she met that day, the white knight that came to her, the white knight she had been waiting for ever since. God, even the titles of each piece, Maiden's Distant Love, Maiden's Heart-Stricken Infatuation, Maiden's Passing Youth, Fleeting Leisure, Fading Beauty, that is cruel. That is cruel to highlight the passage of time. Next we have Bloodstained Chivalry, which I'm assuming is relating to the White Knight because he was seeking out chivalry or something along those lines. And we're starting with the flower. A dried flower stained black with blood and now as hard as steel, probably some sort of memento of its former master. A common white flower given to the knight by a rescued damsel. It is dried and hardened by the blood from all of his bloodshed. Thanking him for his valor, the damsel offered a reward. He turned down all she gave, save for a pure white flower. For a knight, chivalry is its own reward. This flower shall be my medal. It is all I need. He wore the flower upon his heart. Like his armor, it was stained as black as a winter's night. Like his heart, it was hardened like a tempered blade. So maybe he did like her back. Maybe. But like, considering the times of when they existed, I'm not surprised that in his head, he didn't have time for luxury like this. He still kept the flower though, which is kind of nice. Next is the goblet, originally an exquisite silver goblet with gold engravings depicting the feast of a chivalrous knight, but blood and smoke have stained the cup beyond recognition. Covered in blood, the knight who slayed demons returned from the scourged battlefield, only to find that those awaiting his rescue were nowhere to be found among the burning, collapsed houses. Defeated, the bloodstained knight took the smoke-blackened goblet and vowed to rid the world of monsters, of poverty, and of evil. I can't tell if this is trying to tell me that the people he was trying to protect already left, as in ran away, they didn't need his help anymore, or and probably what it is trying to tell me is that everybody he tried to protect died anyway. Next we have the plume, one of the countless raven feathers stuck to the Bloodstained Knight. For where there is blood, ravens shall follow. In the end, the Bloodstained Knight could no longer tell whether the blood that stained him was his own, or that of his enemies. Eventually, on his long journey filled with bloodshed, he came to a realization. His path of so-called chivalry had turned him from the white knight he used to be into the monster he had now become. His only followers were the ravens drawn to the bloodshed he left in his wake. Oh, is he gonna get all emo? I mean, not to trivialize what he's going through, because I can't imagine having to, like, being a knight during the Cataclysm and the Abyss and everything that's going on with Khaenri'ah. You know, who wouldn't break under those circumstances? Okay, next we have the circlet, a luxurious platinum mask that once belonged to a knight of noble birth. Oh. The dark stains of dry blood are now a permanent part of its appearance, as the Bloodstained Knight reached out to help a person in need after slaying the monster. The way she cowered in fear made the knight realize he was now a monster himself, tainted by blood and cruelty of his drawn-out war. Shield me from the eyes of those I vowed to protect, and shield them from the horrors I am bound to effect. Oh, I wonder if what's happening to him is kind of like Zhao's karma? If what's happening to him, the change that's happening to him, might also start affecting the people around him. Because, I mean, if it's just the fact that he's covered in blood, it's a war. Get up, please. He's trying to help you. I think you could tell, even in fear, you could tell if someone's trying to protect you. Well, let me not judge. Let me not judge, but none of what's happening to this poor guy is good for his mental state. It just keeps reinforcing the fact in his head that, oh, I'm a monster now, I'm a monster now. And finally, the sands. Deep in the abyss where I almost read Celestia. Deep in the abyss where celestial bodies cast no light, the Bloodstained Knight kept this timepiece, though time had lost all meaning. At an end was the Bloodstained Knight's story, for he realized there was no place for him on this earth. He ventured into the fallen ancient kingdom Khaenri'ah, and died in battle in the monster's lair. At the bottom of the world, he learned the origin of the monsters that destroyed the ancient kingdom. The ancient kingdom was wrongfully cursed, turning its What did I say? What did I fucking say? I knew that the Hilichurls were the people of Khaenri'ah. The ancient kingdom was wrongfully cursed, turning its inhabitants into monsters. The code of chivalry tolerates no such injustice. Oh shit, if Abyss be thy name, I pledge to you my loyalty. Okay. I get feeling that what happened to Khaenri'ah was probably a grave injustice that you couldn't look away from. But pledging your loyalty to the Abyss? Like, it's not the source of probably everything that's happening? So, okay. Did the Abyss overtake Khaenri'ah first? Because Khaenri'ah is underground, right? Probably closer to where the Abyss is coming from. Or where it originates, or whatever. So did Khaenri'ah get infected first by the Abyss? See, did they get infected by the Abyss, or did they use it? Because I know Gold created Durin from the Abyss. So were they experimenting with it? And then because they experimented with it, it opened the whole floodgates of everything that happened afterwards. The destruction of Khaenri'ah. But turning the people into monsters? So this is the moment he probably realized that the people, or the quote-unquote the monsters he's been killing, were actually the people of Khaenri'ah. I knew those Hilichurls were too smart to be just random animals. And the Metatroll not a Metatroll, what are they called? The big Hilichurl, the big muscular one that's in Dragonspine that was named after the researcher or the scribe. See, but that begs the question of why is Dainsleif not a monster? And furthermore, why is Kaya not a monster? I don't know. I do not fucking know. Next, we have a Veridescent Verener. VVVV. Right, for the Veridescent Verener, we're going to start with the flower. A white wild flower that used to cover the earth. It is not withered one bit and still gives off an exquisite fragrance. In the days when wildlife still roamed the earth and monsters had not yet appeared, the Veridescent Verener would use this flower to conceal her human scent. Thus it was said to seek the silent and gentle Veridescent Verener. One simply need to close one's eyes and walk barefoot through the forest, following the subtle fragrance of wild flowers. Only those who could tread as softly as a hunter could avoid making the leaves crackle underfoot, alerting the queen of hunters to their presence. It was also said that the one who eventually found the hunter was a boy. At that time, disaster had just befallen the ancient kingdom, and misery was spreading across the land. So the Veridescent Verener was a hunter. After the flower, it's the sands, a delicate device used for wayfinding. Legend has it that when the Veridescent Verener walked barefoot on the fields, the grass beneath her feet would tell her what the birds in the trees could see, and the mud she trod on would tell her what the roots in the earth could hear. But it is said that ever since the disaster struck, the grass and trees never spoke again. For the god of woods had died in that disaster. Since then, she relied on this device for direction when hunting. At the request of a boy she encountered, she ceased hunting birds and beasts. Instead, she made the monsters that brought destruction and suffering her prey. At the request of the boy that she met. Next is the plume, a glossy and shining feather of a falcon. It once served as a fine fletching on one of the Veridescent Verener's arrows. In the past, when the Veridescent Verener's arrow hit its target, she would come down and stroke the fur of her prey gently until its life force returned to nature and peace. For she knew that one day she too would embark on a journey to the place where the souls of her prey rested. The Veridescent Verener believed that at the end of her life, she would wake up from reality and be reunited with the departed at an endless hunting ground. But she also believed that the moment her arrow pierced through the monster that killed the boy, that endless hunting ground at the end of her life was gone from her grasp. For she killed that mutated monster not for the sake of survival, but out of vengeance and suffering. So it was her belief that because she killed out of vengeance, she's no longer going to go to heaven. So the boy that made the request had died. I mean, honestly, killing the monster that killed the boy is pretty fair. I don't think that's something that should keep you out of heaven. Next we have the Goblet, a very robust and leak-proof vessel. A legendary hunter known as the Veridescent Verener once used it to collect whispers by the campfire. One night, the Veridescent Verener picked up the scent of other human beings. As a hunter, she feared neither wolf packs nor monsters. What she feared far more than this was joining the chatter of the campfire, for she had long forgotten how to speak human language. Even after rejoining the humans and accepting her place as Veridescent Verener, no one ever heard her say a single word. Similarly, no one ever saw her leave a single trace behind. The Veridescent Verener collected the laughter she heard that night and stored it in her vessel. For many years, she would listen back to the voices in the vessel whenever she felt lonely. Oh, that's so sad. She collected all of their voices to listen back to when she's lonely. Finally, the circlet, a hunter's hat without any bloodstains. In folklore, it belonged to the uncrowned queen of hunters, the Veridescent Verener. Never become the foe of the earth and the forest. This was the hunter's rule. Instead, a hunter should become a silent part of nature. It is said that a bird once built its nest in this hat. None could ever bestow a crown upon the queen of hunters, since the only one superior to her was nature itself. In the crisis that soon followed, her hunter's hat became a frightful sight for monsters to behold. I wonder if she completely gave up on her code of conduct after she killed that first monster. Did she continue carrying on killing them? Questions. Next we have what is it called? The Gnostikheim weapon. The Black Sword. A pitch-black longsword that thirsts for violence in conflict. It is said that this weapon can cause its user to become drunk on the red wine of slaughter. A blade that thirsts after fresh blood will be awakened by its scent. Those who possess, wield, and nourish it will keep killing, till even a pure soul is blackened by bloodshed. There was once a bright white knight who longed ever for the path of justice. Clad in burnished armor, and a mirror-sheen sword hung from his hip. Wherever there was injustice, man-eating beast, or fire in the distance, the knight would ride up in haste to cut, slash, and pierce. Following the teachings of the wolf pup who taught him chivalry, justice, and swordsmanship, he cut, slash, and pierced them from head to toe, till justice had run its course and the monster moved no more. I began to lose myself in cutting, slashing, and piercing. When my blade's edge met my foe's flesh, it sent a tingle up my spine. Ah, this must be the feeling of justice getting its due. Oh my god, he's losing his mind. As long as I cut, slash, and pierce the evil in this twisted world, someday it shall all be cleansed. O foolish knight, slaughter in the name of justice is slaughter still. Oh, that's a hard line. That is a hard line. Slaughter in the name of justice is slaughter still. I wonder who told him that. Nay, slaughter in the name of justice is justice. Cut, slash, pierce, thus you will see justice done. Though the white flowers the maiden offer you should be bloodied black, though your sword should no longer gleam bright, though your fair countenance should turn hideous, and you should be forced to don an iron mask, though those you defend cannot understand you, cease never. And so the black-stained knight persisted on his path, pursuing monsters in the name of justice, until he came upon an ancient ruined realm where he discovered the ultimate injustice. Yeah. I know seeing Kanya probably broke the last of his will. Next we have the Veridescent bow, which I'm assuming belonged to the hunter. This bow once belonged to a certain hunter, and its green color was such that it could blend in with the natural environment, to be as pure as the beasts of the verdant fields who roam in the forests in the light of day, to never bear any ill will, and to never lose an arrow for any reason but to survive. The nameless hunter was taught thus, and grew thus, far away from the city. We were born of the greenery. As long as there is grass and shade, we shall move unimpeded. We are the same as beast and bird. As long as we follow the laws of nature, then we shall not fear death. All those who follow nature, when their life reaches its last ebb, shall head towards that endless plain. Following these precepts, the hunter left no traces, and fought not against the natural order. She comforted the wild beasts that had been shot through the heart until their lives had returned to nature. If that calamity had not happened, if she had not tracked the tainted blood upon the leaves, if she had not met that dying, blind youth under the tree where she often napped, then perhaps she may never have been shaken by thoughts of revenge, by blood and fire. Dying, blind youth, that's the boy? Goddamn. Never forget, good Veridescent. Never forget that you belong to the green, child of the forest. Never lose your arrow for war, for revenge, or for glory, for the bloodstained shall never find yonder hunting fields of endless viridescence. Then, at least do not let this bow be tainted by my mortal vengeance. I cannot reach the other side, whether to meet my master or the parents whom I have never met. But at least let this bow remain pure, and let it carry my thoughts and regrets to them. Oh, so when she killed the monster in vengeance, she actually didn't do it with this bow. She wanted at least this piece of her memory and her beliefs to remain pure. And finally, the solar pearl, a dull golden pearl made of an unknown substance that harbors the light of the sun and the moon and pulses with a warm strength. Rumored to be a legendary orb of Liyue, it once harbored all the light in the world, but was kept inside a wooden box for millennia afterwards. Even so, its power has not dissipated. Now released from its container, it shines evermore. In the hands of a truly knowledgeable sage, perhaps its extraordinary power would finally be unleashed after lying dormant for a millennia. A story that has long been popular with the jewelers of Liyue holds that the master craftsman Kunwu once took the light of the heavenly bodies and sealed it in a wooden box. Kunwu then buried that box deep inside a dark rocky chamber, where it remained in pitch blackness for 49 days and 49, 7 times 7? For 49 days and 20 hours, till finally the pearl within had absorbed the shine of the sun and moon. A most bizarre tale indeed, and yet to this day many in Liyue hold steadfastly to their belief in the esoteric talents of master craftsman Kunwu. Someone once plucked up the courage to ask the Asian craftsman what his secret was. The eccentric old man laughed off the nonsensical notion of his mystical abilities. It was purely the product of prolonged polishing. But his apprentice revealed a different story when asked about it in private. Just as Kunwu finished polishing the solar pearl, the splendor of the heavens shone down and a crimson moon filled the sky. What? But did this phenomenon mean that Kunwu had indeed received divine assistance in his craft? Or was it a measure of his own accomplishments that his lofty ambitions had sufficed to send waves through the firmament and even elicit a response from the heavenly bodies? What? See, this is the thing that I don't like about Liyue's lore specifically. It's because of the way that it's always presented to me as a legend that I don't know if I should take this seriously or not. Because what do you mean you trapped the heavenly bodies in a box? The light of heavenly bodies in a box. Just as Kunwu finished polishing the solar pearl, the splendor of the heavens shone down and a crimson moon filled the sky. If there was a moment where the heavens shone down and a crimson moon appeared, I don't think it has any relation to Kunwu like finishing his weapon, polishing the solar pearl. I think a whole separate incident happened that just coincided with the time that he was finished. Because there's no way those two things are related. His lofty ambitions had sufficed to send waves through the firmament? Okay, brother. Okay, we're going to move on. We are going to move on. There are 5-star weapons that I need to read that belong to the characters that didn't really fit in anywhere that I saw from my list. There's like Diluc's weapon, there's Klee's weapon, Hutao, and Kazuha. They were kind of all like sporadic, but I'll also give them a read since they came out in version 1. We're going to start with Diluc, Wolf's Gravestone. A longsword used by the Wolf Knight. Which one? Originally just a heavy sheet of iron given to the knight by a blacksmith from the city. Wait, the nameless Wolf Knight? It became endowed with legendary power owing to his friendship with the wolves. See, the fact that Diluc took this weapon also corroborates the parallels between him and Rostam. The night of Boreas' journey ended at the city of Barbados. Yes, wandering souls attract each other. Boundless freedom begets only anxiety. Upon entering the city, the night of Boreas' companion bade him farewell in silence, for this free-spirited wolf resented the stone walls and lamplight and yearned for the open wilds. The night of Boreas' heart remained free, though his flesh was inside the prison-like city. Meanwhile, the wind-born wolf roamed the forest in the flesh, while his heart remained loyal to the night. The night of Boreas rode again to hunt. The wolf followed his scent into battle. Still one were they, the wolf and the night. Though one they were, death comes for beasts sooner than men. Laying down his sword as a gravestone, the night of Boreas buried the wolf in the remote countryside. The night of Boreas then left the city behind, living instead the wandering life of a lone wolf. Yet the eternal wolf spirit remained here, watching over the land the night once protected. Boreas' trial. Oh, this is the sword that's at Boreas' trial. Like, this is the phantom sword that exists there. Oh, that's so cool. I've actually never noticed that. That is a lovely detail. And again, Wolf Knight Diluc, I still believe it. In a different timeline, if Diluc hadn't left the Knights of Favonius, then I believe him and Varka would have taken the roles of Arundolin and Rostam, respectively. Next is Hutao's. Actually, Klee, when Klee came out, she didn't come out with a signature weapon, but they did give her this one, I think, right? Lost Prayer of the Sacred Wind, an educational tome written by anonymous early inhabitants who worshipped the wind. It has been blessed by the wind for its faithfulness and influence over the millennia. Scriptures of the ancient wind pass from generation to generation among the observers of ritual and service of the animal archon. Countless hands have touched the now yellowing pages of this book, though any prints they left have since been carried away by the wind. In the era when the Storm Lord reigned from his tower high up, desperate appeals filled the scriptures. Then in the era when the sands of snow thawed, the joy of the sprouting greenery flooded the pages. In the days of yore when the ruling aristocracy pulled at puppet strings to control the masses, the scripture in the hands of slaves told of their envy and their desire for the thousand winds. The people of Mondstadt lived, endured, fought, rejoiced, and enjoyed freedom. As the precious years passed, the scripture grew thicker and heavier. When Mondstadt was born anew and the church finally unshackled, the scriptures of the winds could bear no longer being confined to a shelf, and so the book took flight, left the church's treasury, and was gone. Like the winds of Mondstadt, and like the people of Mondstadt, it belonged to freedom in the winds. The elegant handwriting on the title page reads, "Children of the Animal Archon, heed these words. From the winds we have come, and with the winds we shall go. Never ever grieve for me. 'Tis but my flesh and bones which rest in the soil. My soul has become one with the thousand winds. When flowers bloom, when leaves sway, this is me who sings the songs of freedom, of the wind." I love that this book was basically like the witness to Mondstadt's entire history from the time of Decarabian up until Mondstadt was freed from the aristocracy and the church and the Knights of Avonius were founded. Lost prayer to the sacred wind. Oh, I love that. I love that so much. Next we have Hu Tao's weapon, which is the Staff of Homa, a fireward staff that was once used in ancient and long-lost rituals. To cleanse by fire all that is impure, to allow the impurities to rise with the flames onto the all-accommodating high heavens. These rites would see fresh tinder lit during the rainy seasons, and wolf smoke would arise from those fires as prayers for blessings and the defeat of evil. These blazing rituals were especially commonplace during the ancient period of strife. Aegis Lore. For the dreams and delusions of the silent corpses of gods who would produce evil miasmas, snatching away the citizens who were no longer theirs, and those who never were theirs also. Then a merciful doctor heard a whisper from within the flame, as fierce as the red sunset. From within the crackling and snapping of withered grass, only an unbound flame can purify the filth of this world. Lift up this scarlet firewood, with it you shall repel every demon. So the doctor took up that devilishly red staff, igniting all that was impure. Those who have passed, unable to bear deep sadness, but who have since become shrouded by ill karma and calamity, they shall be reduced to ashen butterflies in this flame, and receive relief from their misfortunes and hurts. As for the doctor who lit those countless flames, legend has it that they too were reduced to smoke in the shape of a lovely butterfly. Though these rites have been forgotten over time and with the coming of peace, those with fire in their hearts can still hear these whispered words from flickering flames when they find themselves faced with an imposing darkness. Only an unbound flame can purify this world. I like that this touched on the rites of not the rite of dissension, I mean the rites of, what did they call it? Like the funeral rite. That in this day and age, only Zhongli really has knowledge on how to deal with a god passing or an adepti passing. It really suits Hu Tao's whole thing. And again, the butterflies as well. Next is Kazuha's, which is the Freedom Sworn. Oh, I read this. Yeah, I read this. Never mind. We're good. Oh, the final artifact set that I have to... Wait, no. Did I... Yes, we read... Oh, yeah. Thundersoother, the Lavawalker, and Thundering Fury, as well as the Prayer set is the last thing I have to read here, because these are also artifacts that came out during version 1 that I haven't gotten to yet. So we're going to start with Lavawalker. Okay, we are starting with the flower. A flower that only blooms in the burning flames. The searing pain it causes will make the wearer stronger. The fiery red flower shines like shimmering agate. This flaming flower was once a brooch worn by the Lavawalker. In the Lavawalker's final days, he said to his people, "This is the flower that blooms in flames. Until the day that the fires turn me into ashes, you shall see the glowing embers of this flower shining through the dark smoke." Oh. The people followed the flower's flickering light to the edge of the Mare Javari. There they found the blooming flowers, but the Lavawalker was nowhere to be seen. So the Lavawalker was someone who existed or lived in the Mare Javari? Wait, there were people living in the Mare Javari? I don't know if that's the edge, as in the edge of the Mare Javari, like we're inside, or we're outside the Mare Javari and we're approaching where it starts. Maybe the rest will clarify that for me. A feather plucked by the Lavawalker from a bird that sings amid the flames. The wearer can almost hear the sound of the bird's wings flapping in the blaze. Legend has it that there exists a kind of solitary bird that sings in the blazing flames. People worshipped it as a totem, while kings saw it as a sign of nobility. Donning this feather, the Lavawalker retreated from the outside world. Alone he came and alone he went, leaving no trace behind. Since then, people often hear cries coming from the Mare Javari. No one knows if they are the song of the bird or the sighs of the Lavawalker. So he went into it, I think. I mean, Lavawalker would match, right? Isn't the Mare Javari kind of The whole place, isn't it just on fire? What flows within this hourglass is not regular sand, but burning sand. Like this burning sand, time flows forward, leaving no trace of its own existence. The story of the Lavawalker continued even after he had traveled across the Mare Javari. It is said that he spent another 100 years living as a hermit. But this short retreat brought little relief for his burning torment. During his time as a secluded sage, the Lavawalker could not bear the eternal scorch. He crafted this hourglass to mark the passing of time. As the flames blazed, burning sand flowed endlessly through the hourglass day after day. Sadly, though the Lavawalker did not fear the scorching flames of the Mare Javari, he could not quench the torturing flames of time. The anguish of being left alone without the disciples and family he had held so dear burned away at his soul more than any flame could ever scorch his flesh. He stayed in the Mare Javari for 100 years? Is the Lavawalker meant to be a sacrifice of some sort? The anguish of being left alone without the disciples and family he held so dear burned away at his soul more than the flames. Let's see the goblet. A goblet that once contained lava, now empty, it still has a slight hint of warmth. This goblet once belonged to a sage known as the Lavawalker. Wisdom flowed from within. The Lavawalker would toy with this goblet, even in the blazing heat. It remained intact. Legend had it that the Lavawalker would drink lava from this goblet as if it were a glass of fine wine. But while fine wine evaporated in high heat, the wisdom of the sage could withstand a trial by fire. But who put you onto this trial? Or did you do it yourself? To the Lavawalker, fine wine was merely a catalyst in the process of producing ingenuity. Aided by alcohol, even the slightest spark can combust into a brilliant idea. The goblet was a silent witness to the forging of wisdom amidst the flames. The moment before the Lavawalker set off on his final journey was when the goblet was filled with most pride. I'm so perplexed yet intrigued by the Lavawalker, an ancient circlet that once belonged to a Lavawalker, a sage who wandered into the Mare Javari. Upon close examination, one can almost see his figure standing strong amidst the fiery flames. The wandering sage of the Mare Javari, known as the Lavawalker, crafted this circlet from crimson agate to resist the intense heat of the flames. The circlet was built with wisdom and tenacity. It sparked fear and jealousy among peers and seniors alike. How dare the Lavawalker challenge the flames of the Mare Javari? Such blasphemy has not been seen in hundreds of years. The flaming sea will surely devour this arrogant young man, and the sky will blow his ashes into the void. Blasphemy. In his jealousy, the teacher demanded that his student step into the flaming sea wearing the circlet. In a state of calmness, the Lavawalker strolled onto the lava and gradually disappeared into the horizon. Is the Lavawalker from Sumeru? He's a sage who wandered into the Mare Javari. I wonder why they deem it as blasphemy. Does the Mare Javari have religious significance to certain people? I'm blown away. I don't know what to make of this, genuinely. As I said, I'm equally perplexed and intrigued by this Lavawalker. And he's okay. Brother is drinking like lava from a goblet. He stayed there for 100 years. Is this some pilgrimage that he needed to attend, or... I have so many questions. I have so many questions about the... I have so many questions about the Lavawalker. What the fuck? So, for the final domain set, we have the Thundersoother and Thundering Fury. They put Thundersoother first, so we're going to read that first. And we're going to start with the goblet. A goblet that once belonged to the Thundersoother. Perhaps its former owner once used it to drink the thunder. Drink the thunder. Okay, we have a person who drinks lava. Now we have someone to drink thunder. What is going on in this game? Mighty as he was, the Thundersoother was a mere mortal with human feelings. Rage and ecstasy would come and go in a flash, just like the pounding thunder. This goblet witnessed not only the feats of the Thundersoother, but also his sorrow and laughter. From this goblet was drunk the wine used in the sacrificial slaying of the Thundersoother's family. From this goblet came the courage that helped the Thundersoother venture forth into the beast's cave. From this goblet came the sole source of companionship for the Thundersoother, who spent his final days in solitude. Sacrificial slaying? What is going on in INAZUMA? What? Is this also another pilgrimage? Venture forth into a beast's cave? The plume, an insignia made in the shape of a plume of a falcon that soared through the storms. Its wearer can almost feel the booming of thunder and the heat of a volcano. Fearing neither the thunder nor the volcano, the falcon left its plume in the burnt woods. Like the Thundersoother fashioned an amethyst insignia in the plume's likeness. The purple insignia shimmered with light under the gaze of enemies. On the small object lightning glittered, as if to foreshadow the downfall of the beasts of thunder. Like the falcon, the Thundersoother conquered both thunder and flame, and eventually beheaded the beast of thunder. Okay, so he won. That's a good thing, right? A purple flower plucked in a thunderstorm, whoever wears it will no longer feel the thunder or the lightning. This flower blossoms only in thunderstorms, and never withers despite the constant rain. This is the flower of thunder. Kneeling before it, the Thundersoother plucked it with reverence. The Thundersoother wore this flower on his chest at all times as he fearlessly faced the thunder and lightning. Even when fighting the fierce beast of thunder, his resolve never wavered. To the Thundersoother, wearing this purple flower may have been merely an act of whimsy, but to travelers, the flower was the source of the unfaltering resolve that conquered the thunder. Okay, next is the circlet, a very ancient diadem. It shines with the light of the pacified lightning. The ferocious beast of thunder once enslaved people with its mighty lightning, but its lightning only existed in a flash, and like the lightning, its mightiness soon disappeared. The Thundersoother defeated the beast in a lightning storm. He claimed this diadem as his trophy, but the past can never be fully pacified. Oh, so was his family sacrificed to this beast of thunder, hoping, like the people were hoping that with the sacrifice, it would calm the storms that the beast of thunder was conjuring? So I'm assuming the Thundersoother's family were sent in as a sacrifice. He himself was angry at that and went to fight the beast of thunder. Not that he himself was a sacrifice, he was just trying to either avenge or save his family. I'm assuming. Lastly, we have the sands, an hourglass the Thundersoother once used. Flowing with it is not sand, but tiny electro shards. The shards shatter and flow down as time passes, then merge together at the bottom of the hourglass. The Thundersoother who defeated the Beast of Thunder crafted this hourglass from amethyst. The passage of time is just like lightning. It bursts through the sky and is gone in a flash. Even the Thundersoother could not conquer the flash of time. Within this hourglass, even thunder and lightning have to obey the never-changing law of time. In the hourglass, the shards shatter and merge countless times while time silently flashes by. Observing this taught the Thundersoother about the cycle of life and death. Empowered with this knowledge, he was able to defeat the beast. Insane lore. Insane lore. Like, this is the only other thing that I now know about INAZUMA other than the Vision Hunt decree that's going on, which is also insane. So what the fuck is going on over there? Doesn't look good. Does not look good. And next we have the Thundering Fury. And we're gonna start with the circlet. Oh, it's related to, okay. In the ancient tribe that worshipped the Thunderbird, elder shamans wore this crown. The Thunderbird soared through the thunderstorms, raining down purple thunder and rain. Ancient tribes feared its power and thanked it for its blessing. Shamans were chosen to offer blood sacrifices to it for protection and forgiveness. The Thunderbird was still a monster that cared not for the worship of mankind. They knew it not and regarded the unpredictable actions of the Thunderbird as divine revelation. Yet thunder was its breath, as were the fates of men. From the sky, men were no different from animals, until one day a song pierced through the roaring thunderstorm. The song ripped through the cloud and bestowed upon it light. So is the song in reference to the Thundersoother? A ritual goblet used by the shamans of an ancient tribe. It held the blood to be offered to the Thunderbird. In the seasons when the Thunderbird flew amidst the stormy mountains, a young lad sang without fear. Attracted to his voice, the prideful Thunderbird landed by his side. Curious tunes, tiny human, afraid not of thunder and storms? They said I can bring peace to thunder and storms. The young lad paused and answered. The Thunderbird cried but kept its silence, for his was an enchanting song. It was the first and last meeting between the Thunderbird and the young boy. For the next she saw, oh, it's a she. For the next she saw of the boy. was when his blood filled the golden goblet on the sacrificial altar. Brother! So the only kid who managed to soothe the Thunderbird was killed? Oh, she's gonna kill everybody. She's about to commit a massacre, I just know it. A purple wildflower that survived the volcanic ash, it witnessed the total decimation of an ancient tribe. With an innocent's blood, the shaman summoned the Thunderbird. They made their offerings, waiting for the Thunderbird to reveal the oracles. However, what descended with the Thunderbird was the lightning of destruction. For the transgression against the young lad who sang to it, the sentence was total obliteration. The Thunderbird showed its true nature, wiping the tribe from the face of the earth. Oh shit. I knew it. I knew it. People need to stop assuming that you need to sacrifice your families and your children to appease gods. What is wrong with you? A luxurious hourglass belonging to the ancient tribe that worshipped the Thunderbird. As the tribe faded away, so did the hourglass. A luxurious hourglass made with amethyst and amber gold that belonged to a shaman. The hourglass would serve its purpose for the festival held the Thunderbird's honor. In the last festival the tribe held, the frenzied Thunderbird blew away the bloodstained altar. The countdown to the arrival of the Protector became the countdown to the tribe's destruction. The Thunderbird decimated the tribe to avenge the one who sang to it. Unbeknownst to the Thunderbird, the lad himself considered his sacrifice as an offering. Oh, the boy thought it would make the Thunderbird happy as well. All for the good of the tribe, for the blessing of the Thunderbird. This is awful. This is awful. The lost feather of the Thunderbird enchanted in purple lightning. It serves as the last witness of the destruction of the tribe. The ancient tribe held the Thunderbird as its protector, but it rained down thunder upon the tribe. On one gloomy night, it shared a pure friendship with the lad. Once it departed, the lad picked up the feather it dropped. I shall sing you another tune when you come again with thunder and rain. Driven to madness by the remorse of a promise unkept, the Thunderbird left the mountain in cinders. It was hunted down years after, slain as a monster. Years passed, the burned land revitalized. The lightning feather was left buried in the vegetation. The story of the Thunderbird and the young lad all but perished with the tribe. What the hell? Is the Beast of Thunder the Thunderbird? That's what I assumed. But after that tribe was decimated, was there another? Driven to madness by the remorse? Left the mountain in cinders. It was hunted down years after, slain as a monster. I'm assuming those two sets are connected. Years passed, the burned land revitalized. The lightning feather was left buried in the vegetation. The story of the Thunderbird and the young lad all but perished with the tribe. See, you need to take this as a life lesson, right? Do not sacrifice children. Whatever the circumstance. Just don't do it. What is wrong with you? Just on principle. I want to say I don't even feel bad for that tribe. The fact that the kid thought that what he was doing was an honor, get out of my face. Get out of my face. I hate INAZUMA already. I believe this is the final thing we're reading from the artifacts, because after this I am going to transition to some books and inventory materials that I have in my backpack. And that will be it for this video. I fear this is shaping up to be my longest video on the channel yet, but it's okay. So, the prayer set. We'll start from the top. Prayer of Illumination. A tiara worn by those tasked with offering sacrifices in ancient... Are you kidding me? More sacrifices again? A tiara worn by those tasked with offering sacrifices in ancient times. After being subjected to the dancing sacrificial flames year in and year out, it possesses remarkable resistance. They say that once upon a time, the people of the land could hear revelations from the heavens directly. The envoys of the gods walked among benighted humanity then. The eternal ice had just begun to thaw, and the first fires were still anew. It was a time of great prosperity, when all was left in the hands of such heavenly revelations. The envoys of heaven said that the world would soon enter a new and brighter age. This was predestined, that future immutable. But would a day come when such wonderful times might come to an end? To this question the envoys gave no answer. So the people chose from among them a chief priest, and adorning his head with a crown of white branches from that white tree, They sent him out into the deep places of the world to enter the Lavian ruins and long-buried altars of sacrifice to seek answers and enlightenment. Is this talking about Celestia? Prayers of Destiny, a tiara worn by those tasked with offering sacrifices in ancient times. Because it was submerged in water year in and year out. Oh, it possesses remarkable resistance. Oh, so each of them aligned with an element. Pyro, Hydro, Electro, Cryo. So that leaves Dendro, Anemo, and Geo as outliers? Interesting. They say that once upon a time, the people of the land could hear revelations from the heavens directly. Then the envoys of the gods would walk among benighted humanity, and the ancient flames were extinguished amidst the first falling rain. Oh, that's interesting. Wait, so the intro for the first one, it says the eternal ice had just begun to thaw, and the first fires were still anew. Is this gonna cycle? Because after the fire, it talked about the rain. The ancient flames were extinguished amidst the first falling rain. It was a prosperous time, a period of bountiful harvest. Then the earth was blessed and ruled by heaven, and the elemental flows were smooth and well ordered. 100 years of bounty were written in the stars, and none could change this divine law. But what of the time after, 100, 1,000 years from now? Would they have famine where they had plenty, poverty where once were riches? Would their altars and palaces become one with the soil, with only that silver-white tree for company? The heavenly envoys, whoever spoke what they knew, were silent. So to understand this doom, the chief priests, head crowned with white branches, would delve into the deepest places of the world. Prayers for wisdom, a tiara worn by those tasked with offering sacrifices in ancient times. Because it hearkened to the call of thunder year in and year out, it possesses remarkable resistance. They say that once upon a time, the people of the land could hear revelations from the heavens directly. Then the envoys of the gods would walk among benighted humanity, and the waters ran dry as thunder first pierced the sky. It is gonna cycle. People enjoyed... Wait, okay, let me not get too excited. People enjoyed untold wisdom, and that wisdom was their boon. Their prosperity brought pride and ambition and the mind to question. So they questioned the heavens' authority, oh shit, and schemed to enter the garden of gods. And though they had promised to the people divine love, prosperity, and wisdom, the envoys of heavens were angry. For to question eternity was forbidden, for earth to challenge sky inexpiable. So the chief priest who wore the white-branched crown went forth to appease the divine envoys, and into the deep places he went, seeking the hidden wisdom of the silver tree in the ancient capital. Humanity got arrogant. They questioned the heavens' authority and schemed to enter the garden of gods. And though they promised the people divine love, the envoys of heaven were angry. For to question eternity was forbidden. And I know Raiden Shogun is the god of eternity, right? I wonder if this is going to play into the INAZUMA quest when we get there. For earth to challenge sky inexpiable. I don't know how to say that word. Finally, we have Tiara of Frost. A tiara worn by those tasked with offering sacrifices in ancient times. Because it once weathered years of icy cold, it possesses remarkable resistance. They say that the line of chief priests... Oh, this has a different intro. The line of chief priests have always seen the same sight as their days draw to an end. A mountain of crowns in a secret place beneath a withered tree, each one hiding a lifetime of secrets kept. Each retiring chief priest offers up their crown of flawless white branches to this world. Every mighty and ancient city, every austere place of sacrifice must one day return to profundity in the earth. I was gonna say, as soon as I noticed the things were cycling, like from the fire, it was followed by, first it was ice. Eternal ice had just begun to thaw, and then the first fires were still anew. Then after the fire, there was water. After the water, there was thunder. It's either after the thunder, there was ice, because I still didn't finish reading, or ice was the starting point. And then it's just gonna loop again. So is this previous cycles of Teyvat, or I guess of a certain civilization? So wait, the first one, which were the flame, what was their sin? They questioned, would a day come when such wonderful times might come to an end? Since the envoys didn't answer, the people chose the chief priest and they sent him to the tree, or to the altar, the deep place in the earth, whatever it is. And then the people with the water, their sin Was it along the same lines? Yes, they questioned, what of a time after, 100, 1,000 years? Would there be famine where there was plenty? Would there be poverty where there were riches? And again, they did the same thing. A chief priest was sent to talk. So the heavenly envoys never answered these questions. So the chief priests were hoping to go beyond the heaven, like they wanted to talk to Thanos himself. And then for the third one, which is the Thunder, these people, again, questions the heaven's authority, but on top of that, they schemed to enter the Garden of Gods. Genuinely, so far, this is the worst one that we've read, the worst transgression. The envoys of heaven were angry, so the chief priest who wore the white-branched crown went forth to appease the divine envoys, and into the deep places he went, seeking the hidden wisdom of the silver tree in the ancient capital. God, I still didn't even finish reading this one. Hang on. I'm gonna read it all over again. They say that the line of chief priests have always seen the same sight as their days draw to an end. A mountain of crowns in a secret place beneath a withered tree, each one hiding a lifetime of secrets kept. Each retiring chief priest offers up their crown of flawless white branches to the world. Every mighty and ancient city, and every austere place of sacrifice must one day return to profundity in the earth. All prosperity must someday end, but this does not mean that nothing is eternal. At the end of a cycle, the earth shall be renewed, thus eternity is cyclical. The search for truth is a product of prosperity, and not the seed that plants it. They say that once upon a time, the people of the land could hear revelations from Celestia directly. The envoys of the gods walked among benighted humanity then. In those days, life was weak, and the earth was blanketed in unending ice. So was ice the first cycle? And then it was fire, water, thunder? So I wonder what this cycle is now, the one that Aether is in. There's Anemo, Dendro, and Geo left from the 7 elements. I don't know, this was a lot. I'm kind of overwhelmed. What the hell? Unless we're still here? If we say we started at the cryo set, right? Because it was icy and then it melted with the pyro, and then after the pyro there was hydro. After the hydro there was electro, but there was nothing here that like ended the cycle of thunder. So either we're still playing this story out, or wait, is this what we're doing now? Questioned the heavens' authority and schemed to enter the Garden of Gods, and though they had promised to the people divine love, prosperity, and wisdom, the envoys of heaven were angry. If we're not still in this cycle, then I would assume we're in the Dendro cycle. Because I know Dendro is the weakness of Electro, right? Cryo works too, but I think Dendro is the most effective against Electro. Because for Cryo, it was Pyro. For Pyro, it was Hydro. For Hydro, it was Electro. And then for Electro, it should be Dendro. If we are going through that. And you know what? That leaves Anemo and Geo untouched, because those two elements don't react with the rest the same way that they do amongst themselves, like vaporize, melt. They're always a reaction between two opposing forces. But with Anemo and Geo, it's like it's more that they combine rather than they give up a part of. Does that make sense? I don't know. I'm just trying to say this makes Venti and Zhongli look even more suspicious. That's all I'm trying to say. Damn, what a way to end the artifact reading session. God damn.
3 days later.
Yeah, we are back again for our reading session, and this time we are going to go through a couple of the books that I have on my list. I'm going to start with the Moonlit Bamboo Forest, because when I asked you guys, I think that was like the most commended one for me to read. I'm feeling a lot better today, and honestly, I am in a mood to read, so even though I don't know if I'm going to go through the whole list, because, I mean, there are a lot of books, I might do more than I thought I would. I know I want to do a Drunkard's Tale, but yeah, we will start with Moonlit Bamboo Forest. Between the rustling emerald curtains of foliage, in a spot where the croaks of frogs and shrills of cicadas meet, lies a corner of the forest that is withered and dry, just near the wetlands beneath the mountain crags. The bamboo forest of Mount Chingsa is the verdant home of many fables. After a spell of rain, a cadence of drips and drops could be heard bouncing from the bamboo leaves and hollow bamboo stalks. Along a winding path between the bamboo spires came a young boy. He swiftly made his way along the trail, climbing up damp crags and running down its paved, mossy course. The leaves of tangled foliage and vines strewn across his path brushed against his skin. The boy finally decided to stop for a rest at a dried and withered spot among the creaking bamboo of Mount Chingsa, tucked away below the mountain rock. The boy clearly remembered the village elder once saying that the rainy season was the proper time for the fox to take its wife. Only the eyes of a child could ever see the fox bride's crimson sedan chair and its procession dancing through the forest accompanied by strains of music and thumping drums. The village elder also warned that kids mustn't approach any such procession. If you wander too close, the fox will snatch your soul away. That's what the village elder always said. What happens if your soul gets snatched? Asked one of the kids. Once the fox has your soul, your fate will be forever sealed. Perhaps they will use you for music in their processions, smashing you like a cymbal and beating you like a drum, horns blaring all around. There will be no rest for your soul. The elder would never forget to pose as if she were beating a drum while she spoke, scaring the little ones all the more. As the boy grew older, he stopped believing the elder's silly fables. Following the Sealy's wispy trails, he passed through the green labyrinth, accompanied by the faint calls of foxes coming from the thickets along the way. Those crafty creatures hiding deep in the forest will seldom reveal themselves, or their boisterous bridal processions to careless treading travelers. The boy was in rather low spirits, kicking pebbles off the road and stomping up the naturally occurring stone steps along the way, wandering further into the heart of the bamboo forest. The village elder once said that this very forest was once an ancient anytime I read Ancient Kingdom, my mind immediately goes to Conria. The village elder once said that this very forest was once an ancient kingdom conquered by the Geo-Archon. But what did the Geo-Archon look like? Did it have arms and legs or eyes like us? Or was he more like the stone beasts found along the water banks? The herb gatherers that periodically set up shop in the city to sell their herbal ingredients would always bring tales of the year's rite of descension. Listening to their stories, one could only imagine the amazing scene of the Geo-Archon descending to the world. But of course, the curious kids could only hope to someday see the great Archon that had been revered for generations with their very eyes. Was the immovable Mount Chingsa a gift from the benevolent Geo-Archon? And were the decades of peace and the long lives that had been enjoyed by generations of people here preordained by the Archon? The answer to these questions lay outside the village, within the aging forest of the mountain. Bubbling with questions and expectations, the determined boy made his way forward beneath the scattered shadows of bamboo leaves. Something's gonna happen to this kid. Something is definitely gonna happen to this kid. Volume 2. Lost among the green bamboo canopy, the young lad soon met an unexpected companion. "What's the matter? Are you lost?" The lad heard a gentle voice among the rustling bamboo stalks, speaking with a hint of sarcastic playfulness. The lad turned to see a slender woman garbed in white. She stood beside a clear babbling brook, with beads of water glistening on her woven rush raincoat, her golden eyes melding with the rays cast through the forest by the setting sun. The village elder had said that there were once white horses that would leap from clear springs to become adepti to assist the campaigns of the Lord of Geo. But no one had ever specified which spring, or the honorable name of the illuminated beast that sprang from it. Besides, the woman that stood before him now didn't appear to be an adeptus, apart from the piercing gaze of her golden eyes. Furthermore, he had never heard of any adepti that needed to wear raincoats. Well, if it isn't another fool, the lady garbed in white began to chuckle, squinting her eyes with a smile. "Who are you calling a fool?" replied the young lad in a fluster. This was certainly no adeptus. Who had ever heard of an adeptus that would speak in such a deplorable manner? "I wish to embark on an adventure. I want to sail across the seas and witness the stone spears of the Lord of Geo for myself. You've only just embarked on your journey, and yet you've already fallen astray among the bamboo forest." The woman's reply was calm and even, a subtle smirk playing over her eyes. Already, the lad found her particularly annoying. "I don't need there's no shame in being lost. Come, follow me. I will lead you out of here." The woman snickered and extended her slender hand towards the boy. Her white skin glimmered under the rays of sunset that shone between the bamboo leaves. Thank you," The young lad took her outstretched hand. Her skin was cold and damp to the touch, much like fresh rain upon a mountain or dewdrops upon a bamboo shoot. The setting sun gradually disappeared behind the mountain ridge, and the afterglow in the clear sky above gradually grew dim. The village elder always used to say that once the warm glow of the setting sun fades, the cold and murky atmosphere of the mountain woods becomes a perfect breeding ground for monsters. These monsters are born from a past that is long gone, their spirits forming from the resentment and unwillingness of the dead. Any bamboo they ensnare will dry up and die, and any person they ensnare will similarly grow weary and fade from existence. Are these monsters born with the aid of the abyss? The resentment of the abyss? Because the abyss looks like it's trying to mimic the real world. Born from a past that is long gone, their spirits forming from the resentment and unwillingness of the dead. Sometimes they will even call upon passerbys to assist them with matters that they could not accomplish on their own, before leading them into a trap from which they would never return. Other times they would act as a guide for innocent travelers, leading them to a den of demons. So you see, little one, you must stay vigilant and never let your guard down when you journey far from familiar soil. Thus would say the village elder, patting the kids on their heads as she finished the story. Come to think of it, could this woman in white be a monster of the mountain woods? The lad grew nervous in his heart and couldn't help but slow his pace. What's the matter? The woman turned around, her golden eyes shining through the moonlight draping over her silhouette. I don't think the woman is a monster. Hopefully not. Volume 3. Nightfall seemed to always hasten its approach over the bamboo forest of Mount Chingsa. Gazing upwards, the silvery moonlight was scattered amidst the shadows of the bamboo forest's leaves, in a spot illuminated under the moonlight, far from the croaking frogs and the chirping cicadas. New bamboo culms had just sprouted from the ground. The bamboo forest of Mount Chingsa is the verdant home to many fables. As night fell, the woman garbed in white began to recount many stories to the young lad, ancient tales that the lad had never heard before. Oh, long ago, 3 bright moons once hung high in the night sky. These 3 moons were sisters, their years numbering more than those of the Geo-Archon and their year of birth predating the very bedrock upon which Liyue Harbor now rests. The moons were daughters of prose and song, sovereign over the night sky. They navigated the heavens above in their silver carriage, alternating with one another thrice a month. Okay, so 3 times a month, okay. If the rain was not promptly passed from one sister to the next, a terrible disaster would occur that very day. They could not share the sky? Or not even just share the sky, they couldn't make mistakes in their rotation. Scientifically speaking, if the moon and sun, like on our moon and sun ever had any changes for this in their cycles, their gravity would affect the one on Earth. God, I can imagine that'd be like 10 times worse if you have 3 moons. So you have one sun, as far as I know, and then there's 3 moons. And then the 3 moons alternate 3 times a month. If the rain was not promptly passed from one sister to the next, a terrible disaster would occur that day. These 3 luminous moons shared but one love, the stars of daybreak. Only at the fleeting moments when day and night converged could one of the 3 sisters pass the fading stars and gaze upon the chambers of the morning stars. Oh, they loved the sun. Oh my god. See, did I mention that in my little theory that I made in Zhongli's video? Not Zhongli's video, in the Moonlit, not Moonlit, I almost said Moonchase Festival. Thank you, that was the name. In the video where I reacted to the Moonchase Festival, I think I did, I hope I talked about it and not just thought it in my head, but the sun and moon are always so intertwined in literally every piece of media ever consumed. So I'm not surprised that they're so intertwined here. So they all loved the sun. These 3 luminous moons shared but one love, the stars of daybreak. Only at the fleeting moments when day and night converged could one of the 3 sisters pass the fading stars and gaze upon the chambers of the morning stars. Moments later, as the new dawn would break over the horizon, the carriage would quickly ferry the night sister away. The 3 sisters shared an equal affection for their one and only love, much like the affection they shared for one another. But this was all before the world was smashed against the tides of great calamity. With time, disasters overturned the sovereign carriage and laid ruin to the halls of the stars. The 3 sisters of the night turned against one another. leading to their eternal parting by death. Only one of their pale corpses now remain, ever shedding its cold light. So what does this make Columbina? They turned against one another, leading to their eternal parting by death. So is Columbina like reincarnated? As far as we know, the only one of the three that's alive. Only one of their pale corpses now remains, ever shedding its cold light. The woman raised her head and gazed at the moon through the sea of bamboo. Her long, slender neck was covered in the silver light, and her eyes shone gold. The wolf packs are children of the moon. They remember the calamities and the tragedies that ensued. Hence, they lament the fate of their mother with each new moon. It is also why those who live among the wolves call the morning stars the surviving love of the moon, the grievous stars. The wolf packs are children of the moon. I wish I could talk to Boreas about this. I want to know more about this specific part. Well, would Boreas have existed this far back? I don't know. They remember the calamities and the tragedies that ensued. I mean, it says here they remember, so it could also be like a past heritage thing between the wolves. Hence, they lament the fate of their mother with each new moon. Oh, is this referring to their howling, maybe? It is also why those who live among the wolves call the morning stars the surviving love of the moon, the grievous star. I see. The young lad remained silent for some time. This was a story that the village elders had never told before. Perhaps it was a legend that even the eldest of elders had never heard before. It was a grander tale than those about foxes taking brides and monsters ensnaring people, but a less riveting one than those about the Lord of Geo driving away evil spirits. The woman's tales were almost like a dream of the imagination. These are the stories that have never been told, legends that have already been long forgotten by people. The woman garbed in white gently stroked the lad's hair and lowered her eyelids. The golden color of her eyes grew a little darker. Before the ancient immortals established the universe, there were gods that wandered across the lands. It was at this time that many of the Adepti came into being. But what about before then? Only broken memories and fragments of the past were turned into stories, and stories turned into legends passed down among the people. Even deities and Adepti can feel sentimental upon hearing such ancient memories that surpass the mortal world. The woman let out a long sigh and turned to find the young lad fast asleep. Unbelievable. With a weary smile, she took off her raincoat and placed it over the young lad. That night, the lad dreamt of 3 moons in the sky, and a silver carriage stopped before the gates of the stars. For this woman to know this, she's older than Zhongli, right? I mean, it could be a tale that she heard herself, but I don't know, something about the way she's telling it feels like she was there? With time, disasters overturned the sovereign carriage and laid ruin to the halls of the stars. Is this referring to the fake sky? So it was Celestia that did this. The 3 sisters of the night turned against one another. I wonder what caused their fight. I know Celestia has something to do with this. Finally, Volume 4. As day slowly dawned, the young boy was gently awakened. Daybreak's light silhouetted the white mist that shrouded the bamboo forest of which tales of ghostly foxes were told. The vapor seemed like a horse tail, as it billowed this way and that. The woman held his hand, and together they walked towards the place where the sun pierced through the woods. They turned left, then right, passing through undergrowth teeming with insects, clambering over slippery moss-covered stones, scaling down a gorge hidden by the shadows of the bamboo trees. All the way she led him, till they arrived at the exit of the bamboo forest. I still don't know who you are or where you're from, said the boy, for the previous night's stories had yet to leave his mind. The woman turned, and with her back to the morning light, her eyes shone gold. But she merely smiled and said nothing. Many years later, the boy, who was a boy no longer, would remember that moment, and he would understand the gap between them was a yawning chasm. His fate was to leave his home and go to Liyue Harbor, to seek the riches the Geo Archon had bestowed upon him. Hers, then, was to hide herself away from the majestic, kindly gaze of that great Lord of Geo, and protect those ancient tales that even she was beginning to forget. Wait. Hers was to hide herself away from the majestic, kindly gaze of that great Lord of Geo, and protect those ancient tales that even she was beginning to forget. She's hiding from Zhongli? Hide herself away and protect those ancient tales that even she was beginning to forget. Is it because all of the memories that she has predates everything with the Archons and just the existence of the Archons in and of itself, when there were still 3 moons in the sky, when there was no fake sky? Because I'm assuming if certain people in power knew what she knew, they might want to take her out. I don't know. I don't think Zhongli is one. I don't know. So the boy and the white-clad, golden-eyed women were parted. He would pack his things and head for that thriving port city, while she stood silently at the boundaries of the bamboo forest. For in her bewitching eyes, she seemed to have already foreseen the young man's fate. That someday, when he was old, tired of the sea and the waves of life, he would slowly return to this mountain village, and there he would live out the rest of his days. In the dawn's glow, the boy heard a whinnying cry that then grew distant. He turned and looked, and there was nothing behind him, but a single strand of hair that had come to rest on his shoulder. In the dawn's glow, the boy heard a whinnying cry that then grew distant. So, is she one of the white horses? Wait, where did we read that? The village elder had said that there were once white horses that would leap from clear springs to become adepti to assist the campaigns of the Lord of Geo. Also, white horses, plural? Is this about Zibai? Because she's a horse adeptus, and she does wear white, and she has gold eyes. She hid herself away. So Zibai is older than Zhongli. Also, there's other white horses, white horse adeptis. The 3 moons have me in a bit of a whirlwind. You know what I want to do? I'm not gonna do it, but I'm like really so tempted. I want to pull up Zibai's character profile, and I want to read what's written there. I know it has some insane lore. I know it has. Is she gonna talk more about the 3 Moon Sisters? About the time, about this time, an era? How much does she remember? Holy shit. Okay, so A Drunkard's Tale is 4 volumes. Heart's Desire. Okay, they're all 4. They're all 4. I guess we'll start with the Drunkard's Tale. Hilichurl cultural customs. Wait, does this talk about the Hilichurls? Like their social hierarchy? Did I read this? I don't remember if I read this or not. Wait, I actually want to read this. Hang on. You guys know how bewildered I am by the Hilichurls. Wait a minute. It's 4 volumes as well. Shouldn't be that long. Hilichurlian social structure. The social structure of the Hilichurl race is evidently a primitive tribal one. Small-sized Hilichurl tribes are prolific in occurrence throughout the wilderness. It seems that they conceive of the tribe as akin to a large extended family. By far, the most powerful figure in the Hilichurl tribe is the shaman. Extensive field research confirms that the shaman is the oldest member of the tribes and plays a role in it analogous to that of the parent in the family, managing major affairs and making policy decisions based on their wealth of experience. Additionally, shamans act as protectors to their tribe, using their elemental abilities. Shamans can be identified by their distinctive appearance from other tribe members. They wear horned, smiling face masks with eye holes at the mouth and wield a rudimentary shaman staff in their hands. A further identifying feature is that they will be heard chanting to themselves some form of unintelligible hymn or incantation. Age is not always the deciding factor when it comes to the status in the tribe. In some tribes, shamans are ousted from leadership by physically larger Hilichurl with superior combat. Under leadership of this kind, such tribes tend to become more aggressive. The chiefs of these tribes can easily be identified from their large stature and ostentatious masks, which also bear horns. The Hilichurl's hostility towards outsiders, coupled with the obvious language barriers, means that conducting specific research on the distribution of resources within tribes has been all but impossible. Nevertheless, Knights of Favonius patrol reports suggest that resources are typically shared on the basis of to each according to his needs. All tribe members are both gatherers and soldiers, but some that prize combat above others develop into seasoned heavyweights on the battlefield. If the tribe stays long enough in an unfavorable environment, these heavyweights will become its most respected leaders. Interestingly, Hilichurls seem to have a unique ability to manipulate the elements despite their low intelligence and primitive social structure. This ability is most notably manifested in the shamans. Typically, humans require a vision in order to exercise elemental control. The question of how Hilichurls are able to do so without a vision is, therefore, one that requires further investigation and analysis. So the people of Conria turned into Hilichurls, right? I don't know if they're like just the common Hilichurls. I don't know if it's like the special, like maybe the shamans and then like the really big ones. And because it's the shamans and those elemental, really big ones that can use elements. But it can't be that all the hilichurls we see are Conrian, because I was wondering if, I don't know, maybe Conria was like fucking hacking the order that Celestia has established, because you can only use visions, or like you can only control the elements via a vision under the control of Celestia. So I wonder if Conria had looked into how to make everybody be able to control a vision. Maybe that's something that warranted the punishment that they received. That, as well as whatever fuckery they were doing with the Abyss. But would that translate into them being a hilichurls? Do they, like, if they found a way to crack the code and they gave themselves elemental energy, even post turning into a hilichurl, do they still keep it, hypothetically? I don't know. Volume 2, Hilichurl Spirituality. Just as the inhabitants of the 7 nations of Teyvat each have their religious beliefs, so too do the hilichurls. Oh, however, they worshipped not a specific figurehead with a presence in this world, such as one of the 7, but elemental power itself in a more abstract sense. For instance, some hilichurl tribes in Mondstadt revere Animo, just as their human counterparts do, but they do not recognize the Animo Archon Barbados. Instead, they worship the power of Animo itself. Hilichurls holding different elemental beliefs often live together in the same tribe. An individual hilichurl's elemental affiliation can be deduced from the design of their mask and the color of their body paint. That's so interesting. First-hand observation indicate that the shaman responsible for organizing offerings and worship ceremonies of the tribe applies a colored dye to their hair and skin, with the color representing the element they worship. Shamans are dressed and adorned more ornately than ordinary tribe members, but owing to the limited intelligence of the hilichurls, it is highly doubtful that any of the fine ornaments worn are crafted by their own hands. The shaman is the spiritual leader of the tribe. He leads them in song and dance during worship, singing hymns of praise to the elements. If there is leftover meat from the hunt, the hilichurls place it on the altar, raw as a sacrifice. Even though they accumulate ample mora, precious stones, and other items of value through exploring, looting, mugging, and other means, it would appear that raw meat alone is considered a sufficient sacrifice. It would appear that the hilichurls possess no concept of either the past or future, living only in the present. They do not intentionally store up food for survival, nor do they commemorate their deceased forebears, though crude attempts at something like calligraphy has been widely observed within their camps. Closer inspection reveals these markings to be nothing more than botched imitations of what they have seen in ancient ruins, possessing no originality whatsoever. Hilichurls do seem to have an inexplicable affinity for remnants of the past, evidenced by the fact that ruins are one of their preferred locations on camp. But investigations thus further have turned up nothing which might hint at the true nature of their connection with the lost civilizations to which these ruins belong. So you know how when we were reading the prayer set, and with all the cycles and the civilizations that were killed, I wonder if the hilichurls, if that's where hilichurls as a whole come from. Like, it's not a specific punishment that was specific to Conria alone. Maybe they've done this shit again. Who says? I mean, it would make sense, right? Especially if their preferred locations are ruins. Maybe on some instinctual level, they recognize it as home. That's so fucked up, actually, if that's true. Volume 3, The Mysterious Loners. Among the hilichurls exists a kind of mysterious large creature possessing both immense physical strength and the ability to control the elements. They use this elemental ability to further enhance their physical state, such as to protect themselves or increase the brute force of their attacks, a combination making them nearly unstoppable. These powerful hilichurls are called Lawa by the rest of the tribe, a respectful form of address best translated to mean king or chief. However, Lawa don't actually rule over or lead the tribe at all. Rather, these large loners prefer solitude, avoiding the looks of reverence from the smaller hilichurls. Aww! Wait, that's so cute. The smaller hilichurls look up to them, or they look at them and are like, wow. Well, I mean, I would too. Adventurers very rarely encounter these gigantic creatures. Still, even the most seasoned adventurers will think twice before going on expeditions into areas where these dangerous Lawas may be roaming. Volume 4, The Daupa Gorge, Mondstadt, a case for cultural diversity among the hilichurls. The Meaty tribe. Oh, yeah. That was one of the world quests in Mondstadt, with the sword and the shield. The meaty tribe is fond of feasting. They have built a boar-rearing pen in the center of their settlement and assigned a swineherd to watch over it. Over a natural stove made with a pyro slime, they cook boar stew in a single large pot, from which each tribe member feeds according to their needs. The most striking feature of this tribe is its sizable combat arena. Those who set foot in the arena are understood to be accepting an open invitation to engage in combat, and those subsequently ousted from it face being mocked by the entire tribe. The sleeper tribe is prone to sleeping at every opportunity. They have built themselves an environment especially conducive to sleep, consisting of simple wooden huts furnished with soft animal hide for bed. They are the most cunning and devious of the Hilichurl tribes, and their above-average mental capacity can perhaps be attributed to the superior sleep quality they enjoy. The practices of the Eclipse tribe are the most occult of any in Mondstadt. They concern themselves neither with brain nor brawn, but with occult power, distinct from the elemental powers worshipped by their peers. Wait, what? They don't worship elemental power? But occult power. The object of their worship is a crude symbol that appears to represent an eclipsed sun. Their shamans are more powerful than those of other tribes. In the center of their settlement, the other tribe members have built a grand throne for the most formidable shaman who leads them. Eclipsed sun? Occult power? Are they worshipping the Abyss? Are they part of the Abyss Order? Wait. I actually want to go to the location. Hang on. Oh, is this it? An eclipsed sun. Is that supposed to be the moon? Eclipsing the sun in the middle. Because I don't see any other symbol that might... Oh yeah, it's here too. This has to be it, right? Well, I'm glad we read that book. The more you know. I hope there are more books on the Hilichurls. Also, interestingly enough, there is no shaman here. Like, I thought the Hilichurls that were in these huts, but they were just like regular Hilichurls. Okay. I'll keep that in mind. That was completely out of the blue. That was not on my list, but I'm so glad I read that.
Try to keep up.
Completely lost the plot there. But let's carry on. We're gonna read A Drunkard's Tale, and then probably Heart's Desire. You guys don't mind if this video ends up being like 3-4 hours, right? Volume 1. In the land where the dandelion wine flows like a river, telltales have a way of spreading far and wide, following closely in the wake of the whiff of wine. Far-fetched fables are always sure to spread when boasted between burps by inebriated bar patrons, for these stories share something in common with the slurred speech and the sea-sickness-inducing swaying that so often accompanies them, which is that despite being clumsy and awkward, they are also highly entertaining. Legend had it that there was once a famous drunkard in Mondstadt. It was said that he could hold his alcohol as well as any hunter from Springvale in the off-season. And yet, still he would drink till he was drunk. Every time he drank, he would not budge so much as an inch back from the bar at the tavern, until not a single mora was left in his coin pouch, and not a single drop of wine remained in his glass. One night, this drunkard was doing his best to stumble home after a particularly satisfying session of especially heavy drinking. A combination of his head-spinning, blurred vision, and zigzagging stride served to navigate him towards a forest populated by wolves. Today, of course, Wolvendom is presided over by the Great Wolf, King of the North, and the ominous atmosphere that emanates from inside the forest is sufficient to deter most sober-headed visitors from approaching the area. According to the elderly hunters, the Wolf King gathered the spirits of the wolves there to prevent outsiders from trespassing into territory where they are not welcome. But this was an age long before the Wolf King and the North Wind had descended upon that forest, bringing order and peace to the Wolven race. At that time, the forest was a perilous place where wild wolves fought for survival. A fierce blood feud between wolves played out deep inside the dense foliage, concealed from view and unbeknownst to any human. Least of all to the drunkard, who, by that point, managed to transport his drunken self quite some distance inside the forest. He stumbled inside in the darkness with that dogged determination that only drunkards possess, deterred neither by the tree roots that would trip him up every few steps, nor by the stray branches that would slyly slap him in the face from time to time. Before long, a pair of green eyes began darting through the forest, their gaze fixed on him, tracking his every move. Those eyes belonged to a lone wolf who silently pursued the drunkard from behind, all the while musing to itself, This is the most peculiar sight I have ever seen in all of my life. No one had dared set foot in the wolves' forest in hundreds of years, be they a knight clad top to toe in shining steel armor, or a desperate fugitive dressed in rags. Even the callous nobles refused to exile their slaves there, for fear of inciting the wrath of the wild wolves and bringing unwanted trouble to their territory. And yet, this odd fellow dares to stroll in here all by himself. How very strange indeed. The lone wolf pondered this strange phenomenon as it followed the drunken intruder through the forest, doing its best to ignore the stench of alcohol that was wafting its way. Volume 2. It is a well-known fact that wolves have a far keener sense of smell than humans. Another way of putting this is that their noses are much more sensitive. Little wonder, then, that the stench of alcohol emanating from the wolf's now historically intoxicated prey was quite stifling, and caused tears to well up in its eyes. Oh, the wolf thought to itself, having been born in the wilderness and grown up in the forest, the wolf had never had any contact with human civilization before this night, and though it had once caught the faint scent of wine wafting across Cider Lake, it did not know the scent's origin, less still understand the significance of that substance to humankind. Perhaps this peculiar fellow is a relative of the skunk? For it seems that he discovered my presence quite some time ago, and now means to poison me in an effort to secure his escape. The wolf pondered this possibility as it braced itself against the onslaught of alcoholic fumes, picked up its pace and discreetly maneuvered its way into the drunkard's shadow, the perfect vantage point from which to inspect its prey. The wolf is a creature of caution and calculation. The drunkard, meanwhile, is a different sort of creature entirely. And yet, though wine tends to dizzy the mind and dull the senses, it sometimes affords its consumers the curious capacity to detect the subtlest of changes in the direction of the wind. Perhaps this could explain how a bumbling drunkard, fumbling through the forest, was suddenly able to discover the presence of a wolf that had been stealthily following him the entire time. Or perhaps the alcoholic fumes given off by the drunkard were sufficiently potent to diminish the wolf's mental acuity, to the point that the wolf became less mindful of the terrain beneath its paws, the resulting sound of snapping twigs thus alerting the prey to the predator's presence. Who's that? Don't suppose you know which way the toilet is by any chance? The bumbling drunkard rubbed his bleary eyes. Foul-smelling human, snarled the wolf. Who are you, and whence proceeds your stench? I genuinely feel sorry for the wolf. The wolf flared its nostrils, bore its fangs, and growled. Not only was the drunkard unafraid when he heard the wolf's gruffly voiced threat, but he even became quite animated. My friend, the drunk replied. Clearly I've offended you somehow. Sorry about that. But anyway, Mondstadt tradition says you're not allowed to be drunk and bored at the same time. So here we are, out in the woods on this glorious moonlit night. How about I tell you a story? His proposal was promptly punctuated by an almighty belch. Ugh, it's disgusting. Before this point, the wolf had no intention of listening to the belching buffoon's drunken rambling. In fact, it was poised to deliver a fatal blow to its prey by lunging for the neck, sinking its fangs in and tearing his throat clean out. But the drunkard's belch blasted a further bout of fumes in the wolf's direction. Oh my god! Assailing its nostrils with such force that it ruined the wolf's appetite entirely. Grudgingly, the wolf agreed. Ugh, perhaps I'm not so hungry after all. Let's see what nonsense tale you have to tell. The drunkard stretched out his arms and let out a loud yawn, disturbing a few dandelions in the process, and with that the drunkard began to tell his tale. Legend tells of a lone wolf that roamed a barren wasteland far, far away. Once he had been king of his pack, leading them in the hunt, in battle, and in search for a home. Now, the sole remaining legacy of those days were the scars that covered his body. He had led the way as they ran across open plains, navigated through abandoned ruins, and passed through the domains of monsters and the Seelie. The wasteland was a cruel place. The Wolf King grew older with each passing day. The other wolves gradually dispersed. As time went by, the wolf pack's history faded into a distant memory, until finally only the aged Wolf King remained, the sole survivor of its pack. This wasteland is said to be a land beyond the dominion of deities, inhabited only by the grotesque, ghostly remains of fallen gods, where the former palaces of the Seelie now stand empty. So when the solitary old wolf passed by a grey palace and heard the sound of music coming from within, it caught its attention. Never before have I heard a sound so pleasing to the ears, whether it be a song of bird or insect, that it stays the pangs of hunger in my starved stomach as this tune does. Intrigued, the wolf stepped inside the grey hall, trod across the overgrown weeds, and passed by a broken sarcophagus on which a portrait of the deceased ruler was still clearly visible. Finally, he came to an inner room, where he saw a fair maiden strumming at her instrument. Her skin was ashen white, and her head was bowed down, her slender fingers gently stroking the fragile strings of the lute as she played a long-forgotten and mournful melody. The wolf sat down in front of the pale young maiden, and forgot all about the pain of hunger, thirst, and loneliness for a short while, as it listened in silence to her song. The chirping of insects on a long-gone autumn night is the chorus of exiles, singing mankind's most ancient song as they live out their plight. Stripped of all that the body once held close and the soul once held dear, songs and memories are all that now remains of yesteryear. The last singers, the first Seelie, they played their final tune in the Hall of Angels. The tiny Seelie playing in the forest were also drawn to the young maiden's tune, and flocked to her to pay their respects. "What is this song that you play?" the wolf asked, puzzled, for it understood every line, every word, every syllable she spoke, and yet hers was a language that it had never heard before, quite unlike that of any living being. "A song of the Seelie," replied the pale young maiden in a soft voice. "Long, long ago we wrote this song for the human savages. Oh, yet now we sing it to mourn our own fate." The wolf began to sing along, albeit clumsily, to the maiden's tune. The wolf's voice was husky and broken, filled with a lifetime of sorrow. "What are you singing?" the maiden asked the wolf. "This is our song," responded the wolf. "It sounds ghastly." The maiden made no attempt to soften her criticism as she continued to caress the lute strings. "But you are welcome to sing along with me all the same." And so a shared chorus sung by fair young maiden and weary old wolf filled the chambers of the long-abandoned palace. It is said that to this day adventurers who pass by this place still hear a strange yet harmonious melody sounding from within. And then the story ends here. The wolf licked its lip somewhat ruefully, and then said, "I suppose I shall tell you a story now." And with that, the wolf cleared its throat and began to tell its tale. A song of the Seelie. She says "we" at some point. Is she a Seelie? Long, long ago we wrote this song for the human savages. Yet now we sing it to mourn our own fate. The last singers, the first Seelie, they played their final tune in the Hall of Angels. Can Seelies shapeshift? Unless she's been in this place for so long, surrounded by Seelies, that she considers herself one of them. No, but she says we wrote this song. I don't know. I mean, she did communicate with the wolf, even though their languages were different, so maybe she has a way of communicating with the Seelies as well. We sing it to mourn our own fate. Volume 4. Legend has it that the first wine of Mondstadt was brewed in the age when the north wind howled. In the age when the kings of ice and frost fought for dominion, Mondstadt's forebears brewed rudimentary wine from wild fruits, even as they shivered in the biting cold. They did so to ease the pain of their frostbitten fingers and to give them the courage to face the harsh and unforgiving ice. For at that time, the land of Mondstadt was engulfed by ice and snow, and the dandelions had not yet reared their heads. It is said that the first person in Mondstadt to discover the craft of wine brewing was a grossly negligent guard. In a tribe beset by blizzards on all sides, it was the unenviable job of the hardy hunter-gatherers to stock the storage pits with food. And it was the guard's task to guard against intruders. The sight of a human intruder was a rare one indeed in that harsh environment, but there were other creatures who could better withstand the cold, and they would burrow underground to reach the food stocks. The rules of the tribe were that one person should inspect the storage pits at all times, filling in any mouse holes discovered, or better still, catching them red-handed in the act of pilfering to keep the tribe's food supplies at plentiful levels. At that time, the damp, dark caves needed constant care and attention to prevent the food they held from going bad and rotting. On top of this, the mischievous little creatures that hid away out of sight would sometimes play pranks on the guards. One day, a wind spirit noticed that the grossly negligent guard was once again being grossly negligent, so the spirit took the form of a fox and crept into a pile of wild apples. There, it caused yeast to grow, ripening the apples and causing them to ferment. The grossly negligent guard was ravenous when he returned, and elected to partake of one of the apples. The mellow taste of fermented fruit delighted both his body and his mind. Immediately he took animal hide and squeezed the juice from the apple, creating wine. The grossly negligent guard who first invented brewing in the age of ice and snow also became Mondstadt's first drunkard. It is said that he was the first person ever to fall into a drunken dream. In his first drunken dream, he drunkenly entered the dream of a lone wolf. Somewhere in the long-lost past, or possibly the far-flung future, he fought fang and claw with rival wolf packs, battled with humans for food in the midst of a raging snowstorm, and met the first Seelie. The tribe-dwelling human and the pack-dwelling wolf could not bear to live in solitude. This newly brewed wine served to bring man and wolf together in their dreams, but their attitudes towards these dreams were pulled apart. The human who knew only the wind and snow yearned for the wasteland, where the lone wolf runs freely. But the lone wolf was fearful of the human's desire. It could not understand why this human was captivated by dangerous illusions and sought hope from within them. What concerned the wolf even more was that when in a drunkard human dream, it could no longer distinguish whether it was a wolf or a human with a wolven spirit. So the wolf swore an oath never to touch the human's poison again, to resist the allure of wine. Wolves are not the children of the wind, and the land of wine and song is not their home. So the wolves left the human's domain and settled far into the wilderness and deep in the mountain forests, places where the scent of wine could not reach them. What you humans call wine, we wolves call the abyss, the wolf haughtily concluded. But as the wolf turned toward the drunkards to say this line, it discovered that the drunkard was now lying fast asleep on a bed of pine branches. The wolf was most displeased and violently expelled a puff of air from its nostrils before leaving the still pungent pile of sleeping human to his business and going on its way. I'm assuming this is Boreas. There are other wolves in Wolvendom, but they look like regular wolves, not with any sort of intelligence, at least not the same kind that Boreas has, which granted he is a god, or he used to be a god. The part about the maiden and the wolf, the first Seelie. Somewhere in the long-lost past, or possibly the far-flung future, he fought fang and claw with rival wolf packs, battled with humans for food in the midst of a raging snowstorm, and met the first Seelie. Is the first Seelie the woman? Maybe she was created differently? The part about the first Seelie had question marks. Okay, we have finally Heart's Desire. I think it was down below. Yes. Volume 1. Legend tells of a corner of the city that has been forgotten by the wind. Oh, to reach that place, one must stand before the fountain and close their eyes, then wait for 35 heartbeats, then walk 7 circles clockwise around the fountain, followed by 7 further circles anti-clockwise. Upon opening one's eye, one will find they have arrived at a little shop. Excuse me? Is anyone there? Vega asked timidly as she stepped through the door. As the door closed behind her, the bell that hung from it rang, its crisp and clear sound filling the room and cutting through the dimly lit drudgery. The dull glow of twilight seeped gently through the frosted glass of the display case windows. Stacks of curious objects filled every part of the room. Vega made her way through the store cautiously, for fear of stepping on something and breaking it. There was no answer. Vega now began to examine the objects around her more closely. An obscure mechanical component, an ornate ancient lyre, a broken ceramic tile engraved with incomprehensible markings, a pair of old manacles, dented and scratched from years of use, a forgotten crown that once belonged to an aristocrat. At some point, as she was inspecting these objects of no apparent utility, the shopkeeper appeared beside her. The shopkeeper's eyes were like those of a fox, with long, slender pupils at the center. That fang once belonged to a wolf king. Aside from the gods, it is probably the only thing left that remembers the land the way it used to be. Every inch of it covered in ice and snow. Like Boreas? She spoke softly. Welcome to the store. Do you see anything that takes your fancy? Do you have anything here that can help someone to forget? Why, certainly. Vega clutched her chest as she pursued the question further. To forget anything? Even someone very important? The fox-eyed shopkeeper's expression turned stern, and she nodded as she continued. I know that the one you wish to forget is a young man with limpid eyes as clear as moonlight. He disappeared a long time ago and left a deep hole in your heart. Nothing else can fill that hole. All other blessings, no matter how joyful they may be, feel elusive and out of reach, just like the moonlight before your eyes. Vega was stunned into silence. All she could do was nod along. The fox-eyed shopkeeper smiled and seemingly out of nowhere presented a bottle of wine. This wine will help you forget your pain. Long ago in the age when the icy winds blew, our forebears brewed this wine in secret, deep within the frozen earth, to give them the strength to keep surviving. The method they used to brew this kind of wine was forgotten when the people's fate took a turn for the better, and their lives became more joyful. She tilted the wine bottle back and forth. There is not much left, and since it seems you have an affinity with this store, this one is for free, provided, of course, that this is what you really want. Vega took the goblet of wine from the fox-eyed shopkeeper's hand. The goblet must once have been adorned with precious gemstone, but it had since been removed, and now the only clue to its existence was the empty, lonely indentation it had left behind. When Vega regained consciousness, she was stood in front of the fountain. Huh? What am I doing here? She wondered to herself. As the moon shone down brightly, she began briskly walking back home. The glow of twilight had all but disappeared now, and if she didn't get back soon, she had forgotten all about that strange store, from the route that had taken her there to everything that had happened inside. Is this a fairy tale? Can I see the description? Oh, a collection of fantasy stories centered around a mysterious antique shop. It's wildly popular around Teyvat. Okay. Also, I like that this bit tied into what we were just reading in the Drunkard's tale about how the first wine was made in Mondstadt. Completely accidental, but I like how they accidentally tied in. She's gone, the fox-eyed keeper said, after the door had shut and the bell had stopped ringing. Oh, a young man, one with limpid eyes as bright as moonlight, stepped into view from the back of the store. Thank you. How many times has she visited now? 6? No, 7. 7 times. The young man hesitated for a moment and then asked, Does the wine really work? It's not that I don't trust you, it's just... The shopkeeper smiled, though the meaning of her smile was ambiguous. This wine causes those who drink it to forget their pain. But your shared history is not a painful thing to her. Oh, all this wine can do is to help her temporarily forget her longing for you, and the grief of losing you. Whenever she sees the moonlight, she will see you reflected in it, and the memories will start coming back. The time you met at Ludi Harpastum, the afternoon spent beneath the tree at Windrise, the view from Cape Oath, the time you sneaked out of the midsummer celebrations together, hand in hand, the song and the feathered cape you offered to her at the assembly of the traveling bards. All of these are memories she will be reluctant to part with. I do have another bottle of wine in my shop. One that can make someone truly forget everything. If you wish, I could give her that to drink instead. She smiled slightly as she watched the young man. After a long silence, he let out a sigh. Tell me, why do you insist on leaving her? Well, it's this. This is the reason. The young man reached into his breast pocket and took out a spherical object made of crystal. Unknown symbols could be discerned faintly flickering inside it. I'm led to believe that the people who receive one of these will one day disappear from this world. Wait, is this a vision? Did he receive a vision? I'm led to believe that the people who receive one of these will one day disappear from the world. If that is so, then the earlier I leave, the better. She's still young. If she forgets me now, then she will still have time. Well, sneered the shopkeeper. So you're one of the chosen. It would appear so. But do you know anything about what happens to the chosen in the end? The young man asked eagerly. She forced a smile but did not reply. I should be leaving. Now, I am the owner of this thing. I suppose I should get on with doing the things that are expected of me. And if she returns, what would you have me do? I think we should leave her to handle it on her own. What a heartless man you are. So interesting. Also, I feel bad for the girl, but even if at the moment she believes she wants to forget because the pain of loss is something that's immense, I don't think she should be given that wine bottle that makes her forget everything. Despite how painful loss can be, even though it makes good memories feel bitter at times, I don't think that that momentary pain is something worth giving up all the experiences that you shared with that person. Volume 2, Glaze. Legend tells of a corner of the harbor that has been forgotten by the mountain rocks and the sounds of crashing waves. To reach that place, one must stand in the sea breeze and close their eyes, walk 49 steps away from the clamor of the crowds, then wait till the sound of one's own heartbeat drowns out the voices in the background. Upon opening one's eyes, one will find they have arrived at a little shop. "Hello, anyone in?" Yuan called. He tried the door and let himself in. The bell continued to ring after the door had closed, and as he made his way further inside, the faint sound of crashing waves seeped into the store like a distant memory. Piles of seemingly random artifacts were stacked all the way through from where he stood to the other end of the long and narrow shop. Yuan looked apprehensively at the range of items throughout the store, somewhat intimidated by the thought of his silken robes being covered in dust that was potentially even older than he. Old lanterns made of now yellowing paper, a giant fang from some unknown monster, brilliant black aerosidrite from the depths of space, a dull gold-colored geometric object built with a mortise and tenon crafted from an unknown material. As he picked up a small bottle filled with fine white crystalline powder, he heard a soft voice coming from someone who was now stood next to him. "That is salt formed from the residue of an ancient Archon's tears?" Havria. This is about salt. I'm just going to keep thinking about Havria. But ancient Archon, either one of the other Archons that already passed, or this is one of those cases where Archon and God were used interchangeably. Salt makes me think of Havria. The voice caught him off guard, breaking the long silence like a stone disrupts the surface of a pool of still water. Startled, he dropped the bottle he held in his hand, but the sound of smashing glass his ears were anticipating never came. The shopkeeper, who had fox-like eyes with slender lines for pupils, had somehow caught the bottle and returned it to its place on the shelf. I can't remember who it was, but someone recommended this place to me." She gave a slight nod that acknowledged she had heard him, but was ambiguous as to what she thought about it. "Welcome to the store. Do you see anything that takes your fancy? I'm looking for a gift for... She's a girl I like. I've been thinking of proposing to her, and I'd like to have a gift to go with it." Yuan nervously bit his lower lip as he looked up to face the shopkeeper directly. She had mysterious golden eyes that reminded him of Corlapis. They looked at each other for a long time in silence. Finally, she spoke. "Very well." Her slender figure disappeared back into the depths of the store. When she returned, she held in her hand an object that gave off a faint, iridescent glow. On closer inspection, it was revealed to be an exquisitely cut, 10-sided, illuminating crystal. "I trust you will have heard the legend of the Crystal Heart?" He hadn't, but he nodded anyway. "It is made from a variety of crystal called illuminating crystal. Man-made versions exist, they are pale imitations. True illuminating crystal is capable of revealing the secrets of one's heart, for it is formed from the unfulfilled desire and grief of illuminated beasts of the highest orders when they reach the end of their life. Please, take a look." She gestured to Yuan that they should both watch the faintly flashing images emerging from within the crystal. Tens of thousands of years flashed by before his eyes, like the continuous shifting of the clouds. Stars turned into water, and water turned to land. Snow melted and gave way to green pastures. Rivers cut their way through open country. He watched cities rise like ants' nests and kingdoms topple like toy building blocks. The twilight grew dim. Moonlight zigzagged its way across the uneven surfaces of the ocean. When Yuan regained consciousness, he found himself walking by the docks. The crystal he held tightly in his hand had become warm, as if blood pulsed through it. "This is a wondrous crystal heart indeed," he thought to himself, increasing his pace as he walked on under the moonlight. "All I need to do is give this to her. Once that's done, then I must..." The bell that hung from the door rang out, crisp and clear. "Welcome to the store. Do you see anything that takes your fancy? I'd like to exchange this. Well, I don't know if it counts as a gemstone or..." The finely cut crystal sparkled brightly, scattering rays of light throughout the room. "Oh shit, it was given to me by a man who's been pursuing me. He said that if we looked into it together, we would see many marvelous things. But somehow, I just find it makes me feel uncomfortable. It's a beautiful gem, of course, Each time I think of him, I get so exasperated. So I wondered if this store would be willing to take it off my hands. I understand, but this is a highly prized 10-sided illuminating crystal. Or what quantity of mora would you be willing to part with? Actually, I do not want for money, but let me see. What's this? It looks like salt? It's about time I went to Salteray to pay my respects again. If it's okay with you, this is all I need in return for the gem. It is Havria! The fox-eyed shopkeeper sat alone at the back of the shop, turning the geometrically flawless crystal in her hand. In you, I have seen unpleasant things. That fellow's true nature, it's unbelievable. It's upsetting. That said, when it comes down to it, he is but a low-life opportunist who wishes to marry into a wealthy and prestigious family in the salt industry. And will do whatever is necessary to achieve his wish. Had this not come to light, it is entirely possible that they may still have enjoyed a happy life together, despite it not being born out of genuine mutual affection. After all, happiness is but a state of mind. It is not related to love. She took a dainty sip of wine and smiled mockingly at the thought of her own vanity. But the fact is, I simply have zero tolerances for people like that. On the other hand, it is delightfully straightforward opening up to a complete stranger. I know that once he sets foot outside that door, we never have to meet one another again. So what does it matter if I reveal a little truth to him? Perversely, the closer two people become, the more one seeks to gain, and so you must be on your guard. But how could he have known? I'm sorry, this has all been quite the imposition on you, but it is truly wonderful to have this back. She lowered her gaze and continued, This is, after all, your heart that you have left behind. I will be sure to treasure it, but don't you think it's fun, taking a trip down into the world once in a while? Seeing what people are like nowadays. What? This is, after all, your heart that you left behind. Is she talking to the crystal? Wait, what was the description of the crystal again? Legend of the Crystal Heart. It is made from a variety of crystal called illuminating crystal. True illuminating crystal is capable of revealing the secrets of one's heart. Okay, so when Yuan gave the crystal heart to the girl, the crystal showed the girl his true intention, or that he wanted to marry her purely to get into a prestigious family within the salt industry. It wasn't anything genuine. I get that part, but in this last part, the fox-eyed shopkeeper sat alone at the back of the shop, turning the geometrically flawless crystal in her hand. Who is she talking to here? At first, I thought she was just talking to herself, like talking out loud. On the other hand, it is delightfully straightforward, opening up to a complete stranger. I know that once he sets foot outside that door, we never have to meet one another again. So what does it matter if I reveal a little truth to him? Oh, is she talking about what she showed him in the crystal the first time when she was showing its capabilities? I know when he leaves, when he leaves the store, I'm never gonna meet him again. I'm sorry, this has all been quite the imposition on you, but it's truly wonderful to have this back. This is, after all, your heart that you left behind. So she is talking to the crystal, I think. I will be sure to treasure it, but don't you think it's fun? Okay, taking a trip down to the world once in a while. So she does this on purpose, both to show the man's intentions to the girl, but also for the crystal heart to see what the outside world is like every now and then. I think that's what I got from it. Volume 3, Sapphire. Legend tells of a corner of the city that has been forgotten by the wind. Okay, we're back in Mondstadt. The shopkeeper, who had fox-like eyes with slender lines for pupils, opened the glass double doors to let in the bright moonlight, which seemed to sweep up the stardust from across the night sky and sprinkle it down upon the counter. Everything from the ostentatious flowers, the dust-covered harpastum, and the old books rendered illegible by years of erosion, to the now stringless old longbow appeared as the opulent halls of the ruling aristocrats might have done in times of old, covered in a shiny silver coating, though this was a silver that came from the cold light of the night sky. Hey, business any good these days? This audacious alternative to the courteous greeting most people would opt for in the circumstances came from somewhere deep in the back of the shop. The shopkeeper turned around. A familiar customer was sat nonchalantly on her armchair, and the part of the shop the moonlight did not reach. Business is fine, but these days it would appear I need to watch out for burglars. The shopkeeper responded with a slight smile. That's it? You're going to turn away your oldest customer, just like that? The customer let out a sigh. There's nothing in your shop that's worth me spending money on anyway. I mean, if I really had to pick something, well, how was The hunt? What do you mean? You think I'm just here to offload some loot again? The hunter let out a displeased grunt at the shopkeeper's insinuation, but the shopkeeper continued to smile. Why, of course not. When have I ever heard you use the word loot before? On the contrary, all the exchanged goods, free gifts, philanthropic donations, bestowals, and so on that you have so generously given over the years, why, they must make you the most charitable, inclined burglar to roam these streets, no? Well, that's not what I'm here. That's not why I'm here this time. This time I'm here to ask for something from you. The wine. That special wine you've got that helps you forget about the one you long for. Though a burglar by trade, this customer was nevertheless valiant at heart. His words lacked courtesy, but the smile on his face was entirely earnest. I'm terribly sorry somebody has already bought it. He looked, and somehow she was now holding in her hand the wine flask that he had discreetly slipped into his breast pocket earlier. Each item in this store is spoken for. This particular one has already been bought by a customer who will turn up at some point in the future. It seems your sleight of hand is superior to my own. What a disgrace I am, the burglar of valor said with a pained smile. I discovered recently that the feeling of longing for someone is heavier to carry than gold. In my line of work, I'm forever leaping between rooftops and running along rafters. I need to cut out whatever unnecessary weight I can. I wonder if the girl with this... The girl with the sapphire blue eyes feel the same weight that I can. It's the burglar. It's, fuck, what is his name? Eberhardt's cousin. The good one. Of course I remember fuck-ass Eberhardt, but not the good cousin. What was his name? Wait, did we ever get his name? I don't think we did. But he was in love with the sapphire blue eyes. Who Eberhardt killed. The witch with the sapphire blue eyes, right? Holy shit. Fuck, I'm blanking out on the cousin's name. But not the cousin, the step-sibling. Holy shit, I did not expect that. Suddenly, the shopkeeper was startled by the jingle of a doorbell. The customer who had just arrived was a blue-eyed sorceress with a pole in her hand, and a tall, slender figure to match. The marks on her face bore witness to her persecution by the aristocrats. Ignoring the piles of random objects strewn around the store, she marched straight to the counter like a sword lunging towards its opponent's heart. Welcome to the store. Do you see anything that takes your fancy? I have an item I wish to exchange. Her tone sounded cold but fragile, like thin ice in the moment that it shatters. As the sorceress spoke, she placed a giant blue crystal on the counter. A burglar pried this from an aristocrat's silver goblet. He gave it to me as a gift, and then I was punished by my master for it. But that was many years ago. I had thought that with the passage of time my anger would be quenched, and my desire to see him again would fade away. Very well. What sum of mora do you ask for in return? The sorceress gestured toward the tableware cabinet in which stood an aristocrat's silver goblet with this gemstone missing. The fox-eyed shopkeeper turned the crystal in her hand, flooding the room with the brilliant blue light that reflected off its surface. I see. Well, provided that is what you really want. When a person encounters a setback, the worry that everything shall come to a fruitless conclusion appears. The advent of fear causes cracks to appear in the mind. Death follows easily in the footsteps of fear, like a damp cold that, to the unprepared, pierces to the bone. For many years, it is only in the moment that death is upon them that it dawns on them that their weakness has now been targeted with fatal consequence, and at that moment, therefore, that weakness must have been exposed. Lifting the blue crystal up into the moonlight, the shopkeeper gazed at it intently with her fox-like eyes, with slender lines for pupils. She watched with delight as the crests of the ruling family came into view, faded out, and came back into view once more. Legends claim that peering into a pure gemstone at a specific time can reveal the past. Oh, is this like Kunjun with his like powers to see like the memories of the ore? Is this kind of the same? Legends claim that peering into a pure gemstone at a specific time can reveal the past, the future, and even someone's true nature. Just as legends claim that somewhere in the world there is a field of dandelions as vast as the sea. Or once that there were 3 bright moons in the night sky named Aria, Sonnet, and Canon, sisters who were parted by death in a great catastrophe. Or that there was once a witch who could see death before it took place, but in the end herself died from a broken heart. as he who had stolen it from her awaited in a distant land, longing to see her again. One thing she knew for certain was that even if she were to abandon these objects, the legends attached to them would not disappear, and the way the stories ended could not be undone, in which case it seemed to make sense to collect all the legends and stories she could in her shop. We got their names? Arya, Sonnet, and Canon? If Columbina is the reincarnation of one of them, I wonder which one it is. And I wonder if the other two are going to be well, actually, it said, where did we read it? It was, oh yeah, Moonlit, was it Moonlit Bamboo Forest? Where it was first mentioned, because it was the first thing I read. It said that of the 3 sisters, only one pale corpse remained. So I wonder if the other 2 are completely destroyed, and then whichever one of these 3 that remained is the one that Columbina is. Like if she was the last thing that still has, I guess, remnants or pieces of her existing in the world, then she can be allowed to reincarnate again. But then the other 2 are just completely dead. So maybe Columbina's the only moon goddess that exists, or that will exist from now on. Volume 3, Heart of Stone. Is anybody in? The man tapped on the front door as he called out. He was draped in a raincoat. He peered in through the dusty windows at the objects on display around the store. A bottle of glimmering stardust, a broken blade that gleamed like ice, a painting on a roll of paper that the years had turned yellow, an elixir that gave off a mysterious aurora, a tile thinly coated with a gel-like substance. He entered the store. The door closed behind him. He walked over to the counter and began inspecting the weird and wonderful objects in the store. All seemed to be relics from a bygone era. Then a soft female voice came from beside him. "Welcome to the store. Do you see anything that takes your fancy?" Taken by surprise, he turned to face the speaker, a fox-eyed shopkeeper, who let out a faint smile. "Here's the thing. I'm looking for a certain something that can help me settle an old score." The man spoke with a voice that was clear and resonant, but that had a hint of apprehensiveness about it, one which did not seem to fit with his physical appearance. "Oh? Very well, then." The shopkeeper's golden fox-like eyes flickered as she examined this new customer of hers, who was draped in a soaking wet raincoat. She gave a nod. She leaned down to search in the bottom of the cabinet. When she stood up a moment later, she was holding a large and beautiful piece of core lapis. The core lapis in the shopkeeper's hand gently glowed a dark shade of gold, much in the same way that her eyes did. The man took the stone from her hand and studied it closely in the moonlight. In this light, the core lapis seemed to reveal a deep turbulence concealed within its soft golden hue. His hands were still trembling. Core lapis is the soul of the rocks. Even the hardest and most resilient of rocks will, over time, eventually produce a pure, limpid soul. The shopkeeper's voice seemed to be coming from a distant place. The man gave a nod. "This is precisely what I was looking for." The man solemnly responded and placed a heavy sack of mora upon the counter. Then he left the store and ventured off into the midnight rain. That's what happened. After the shopkeeper had spoken, she narrowed her fox-like eyes and examined the customer in front of her. Did he say anything else? Judging by his appearance, the young man was presumably a miner. His eyes betrayed an urgency that he could not contain, but the shopkeeper responded simply by calmly shaking her head. He left a sack of mora with bloodstains on the outside. Like a pool of water, the shopkeeper's voice was calm and still, but also icy cold. "That is precisely what I was looking for." The young man let out a long sigh. It seemed he wanted to evade the golden gaze of the fox-eyed shopkeeper. "In return, I will tell you a story." The shopkeeper nodded her head to indicate that he could continue. "That man in the raincoat, I used to go mining with him up in the mountains. I wanted to make a name for myself. He just wanted to support his family. One rainy night, we broke open a rock to find that substantial piece of core lapis inside. That pure golden glow that radiated from its surface was a more breathtaking sight to behold than all the marvels of Drunkard put together. We agreed that we could split it 50-50 once we got back to Liyue Harbor, but that night, under cover of the deafening roar of the torrential rain, I discreetly made it so that the clifftop would be his final resting place." Oh, you bitch. "I did it because I was scared I couldn't trust him. I couldn't trust in a promise that, aside from ourselves, only the Adepti could have heard, and they're probably imaginary anyway." Huh, wow. So fear won me over. I could bring myself to accept that the whole sum would be mine if I was willing to get blood on my hands, but I couldn't bring myself to accept the risk of traveling with a stranger. The following morning, I let down my rope and began my descent down the cliff. I had taken maybe 4 steps, 5 or 6 perhaps, and I was adjusting my footing on a rock when suddenly I felt the rope trembling in the palms of my hand. Instantly, that same trembling permeated every fiber of my being. I lifted my head to look at the rope, but it was too late. The last thing I remember seeing was the torn rope fibers at the end of the snapped rope. Only a hunting knife could have made a clean cut like that, I am sure of it. Then, in the end, you two settled your score. The fox-eyed shopkeeper smiled so faintly it was all but indiscernible. He takes the core lapis, and you take the whole sum of money for it. The young man did not say much in reply. Legends claim that core lapis is the soul of the rocks of the earth, and that the stronger the life force of the rock, the more power it possesses to reveal a person's true nature. Some say that even after its owner has left the world, core lapis will bring their unfulfilled desire and regret back into it, waiting for one with the ability to fulfill them. So the legend claims. It kind of works like inherited will, in a way. It has now been about 4 hours since the 2 strange customers had left the store. The rain continued to pour down. The shopkeeper stood by the window for a long time, peering out at the dark street engulfed in misty rain. But is the score truly settled? And are they now truly free? She spoke as if posing her question to the curtain of rain, knowing that an answer would never come. All of these mysterious antique shops that Hoyo loves to use. Legend of the Lorn Sword. Is this the book? Is this the book Shinichiro wanted to read? Or was it the Legend of the Halberd, I think? Legend of the Shattered Halberd? Oh, this one has 6 volumes. What is this? What is the description? Oh, in ancient times, when Axis Mundi was unobstructed, there were 9 realms, each a world of its own. The realm of humans was known as the Zhongzhuo, while the gods reside in Shenxiao. At the end of the last calamity, a war between the gods broke out. The god king fell, setting the 9 realms ablaze, obliterating all living things. The realms have now been born anew. Life again thrives, but the passageway between the 9 realms by Axis Mundi has been sealed off. An all-new graphic novel on the epic journey in search of the god king's halberd begins. Axis Mundi. Can I search up what that means? In 20th century comparative mythology, the term Axis Mundi, also called the cosmic axis, world pillar, center of the world, or world tree, has been greatly extended to refer to any mythological concept representing the connection between heaven and earth, or the higher and lower realms. In ancient times, when the Axis Mundi was unobstructed. Wait, is this talking about the time during the when we read it in Prayer's Set? How it said that there was a time when humans got direct instructions, or like they had direct communication with Celestia. When Axis Mundi was unobstructed, there were 9 realms, each a world of its own. Interesting that it's 9 and not 7 this time. The realm of humans was known as the Zhongzhuo, while the gods reside in Shenxiao. This wasn't on my list either. Low key though, this sounds very interesting. Okay, I'll give in. This is the last book I'm gonna read, and then we're gonna switch to like inventory and other stuff. I folded under 0 pressure. Pressing official business. I am the great and glorious General Wei Yang, emissary of the Imperial Court on a royal mission. I demand that you step aside at once. General? So the great and glorious is a military rank now, huh? I thought it was a civil office. Mir responded with not a moment's hesitation. Wei Yang's face turned bright red. Oh, an ignorant borderland heathen seeks to educate me on the matters of the court. Mir was unfazed. I would be surprised if they'd overhauled the entire government bureaucracy in the space of a few years. 2 broad sword-wielding martial artists in Wei Yang's party burst out laughing. So ends our journey to the capital. The cart finally makes it past 1,000 miles of checkpoints, only to get gridlocked like this at some tiny little inn out in the wilderness. The waiter, Chin, stared intently at Wei Yang's crimson-colored cheeks before suddenly declaring, "You're a woman! A female officer disguised as a man." The claim was accentuated with a prod of his finger. An astute observation, came the response from one of the martial artists. She is, in fact, the Secretary of Ceremonies. The 2 of us are military officers, one from the Imperial Guards, the other from the Imperial Escorts, both versed in polearm and sword. We are serving the office of the Imperial Grand Minister on secondment, and we are here under orders to retrieve the ominous swords. Although the part about the great and glorious General Although that's made up, the bit about being here on official court is not, the other martial artist chimed in to say. The ominous swords are something that Mir had heard of. The story was that an iron meteorite had fallen from the sky 5 or 6 years ago, and convention dictated that as nature's treasure it belonged to the imperial family. However, a swordsmith by the name of Feng had taken it for himself and used it to illegally cast 9 swords. It was said that the ominous swords were cursed by the meteorite and could drain people's intellect. Naturally, they had caused quite the stir in martial artist circles. Is this referencing the meteorite that fell in the chasm? Good for you, said Mir as he shut the toilet door. It'd be even better for me if you got yourself out from that toilet. Now, her disguise exposed, Wei Yang gave up trying to compose herself and spoke in her normal voice. She sounded more charming than one would expect, given the circumstance. Officer Wei Yang is a cultured lady of the court. Unlike us, she cannot resolve her pressing official business by simply finding a discreet spot in the wild. Please, hurry up. Mir washed his hands and exited the toilet, then sat down at the table with the 2 martial artists. It is not at every border town that we encounter one so familiar with court affairs. The one that seems to be the Imperial Escort officer sizes up Mir. Might I inquire as to your personal history? My father, Mi Tingren, was Minister of Imperial Banquets. He was framed for embezzlement of funds intended for the imperial cuisine. He then resigned from his post and returned home. Mir paused to scratch his chin before continuing. My old man's not been himself since that happened. I still intend to go back to the court one day and clear the Mi family name. Volume 2, A Matter of Possession. Yum, very nice. Now that the spirit had possessed her body... What? The spirit? Now that the spirit has... Is that a figure of speech? Like now that she actually ate and she feels better? Or is there an actual spirit that possesses her? And now that the spirit had possessed her body, Wei Yang was of a much sweeter and gentler disposition. She took a tiny bite of one of Mir's stuffed pies, but it was too hot, so in an effort to avoid burning her tongue, she stuck it out of her mouth and panted for breath frantically. Truth be told, it was all rather cute. That came unexpectedly. I need some time to process. Mir, who had given up on his... Whoa, wait. That came unexpectedly. I need some time to process. Mir, who had given up one of his eyeballs to appease the spirit, helped himself to a pie and asked, "Can you go over it again?" Okay, so that was not a figure of speech. There is actually a spirit possessing this girl. And Mir gave up one of his eyeballs? What is this story about? Very well. The meteorite was in fact a divine halberd. It was snapped into pieces by a commoner and made into 9 cursed swords, the ominous swords. This one is the Sword of Mist. Adding in that pair, I found 3 of them to date. And what's your place in all of this? I was once the daughter of the Celestial Emperor, but I have long forgotten my name. I was in charge of conducting trials and sentencing at the end, a judge, to use your parlance. Since the court of imperial entertainments was responsible for sacrifices and offerings, Mir's father had forced him to learn every last detail and word uttered in every known court ritual. And because most rituals involved encounters with bizarre forces and temperamental deities, he also knew a thing or two about how to deal with them. For instance, he knew that deities tended to guard their names closely, for knowledge of a deity's true name allows a human being to exercise absolute control over them. So he wasn't convinced this one had simply forgotten her name. I know this was taken from a certain myth. What creature was it? I forgot. But I've seen this before in media. It wasn't ghosts, it wasn't spirits. What was it? She says that she's a spirit. So the court wants to retrieve the swords to reconstruct the divine halberd? Mir forced himself to entertain the reasonability of this line of inquiry. I don't know. The master of this body knows nothing else. She's just deeply angry. She wants to prove herself. Wei Yang puts her hands on her chest. So what's the next step? Do I have to perform some sort of farewell ceremony for you? Mir stroked the bandaged and sightless eye. And then do I get my eye back? Give me a name. She raised her head, oblivious to the crumbs at the edges of her mouth. Don't be ridiculous. The Imperial Civil Service examinations are overseen in person by the Emperor himself. How will I claim the title of Minister of Imperial Banquets with only one eye? Well, I have things to reclaim too. The remaining pieces of the Divine Halberd, she responded. Otherwise, this world and everything in it is going to burn in hellfire. Mir kept looking at her, but did not respond. You do not need to go with me, but with the fate of all living things at stake, please allow me to hold on to your eyeball for the time being. I'm so confused. Also, is the divine halberd, like paralleling the gnosis? Is that what the Sarita is trying to do by collecting them? Like maybe if you collect all gnosis and you put them together, it creates a massive weapon or something? Volume 3, A Dark Westward Journey. This is all I can do for you, Mir said as he placed a series of dishes onto the table. He then sat down opposite Wei-Yang. Wei-Yang's right arm, which was broken in the fight to the death that had just taken place, was still wrapped in bandages. She stared intensely at Mir for a long time, but Mir just sat there, resting his jaw on his hand and looking downwards. Neither of them spoke. Finally, Wei-Yang attempted to use chopsticks with her left hand. Alas, her dexterity was found wanting, and she failed to procure a single meatball from the murky depths of the hot broth. Mir sighed, took the chopsticks from her hand, and said, "Fine, I'll feed you." So there is still more that you can do for me, Wei-Yang suddenly quipped a few mouthfuls in. Her mood remained unchanged. The Court of Imperial Entertainment is dedicated to worshipping and making sacrifices to all of you divine beings up above. Serving you is my family's job, and in any case, when the gods make their move, what can mere mortals do but look on helplessly and accept their fate? At least, that's what Mir thought, but he also thought it was better to keep that part to himself. Couldn't you use your powers, though? I thought you said that each time you fight an ominous sword owner, you use telekinesis to make your polearm levitate, swing your sword around, and so on. Surely chopsticks can't be any harder. That is a power bestowed upon me by my father. Only I have this power. It is solely for use in sentencing the guilty. I mustn't— Wei-Yang's voice changed in tone. I mustn't use it lightly. Before he died, that guy said something really strange about the situation with my father. Mir flicked the candle flame while he spoke to relieve his boredom. Minister Mi was neither innocent nor wrongly accused. What on earth did he mean by that? If the court was unwilling to reconstruct the divine halberd, then being with the Celestial Emperor's daughter that had possessed Wei-Yang's body made him an enemy of the imperial court. Ah, I see. As if to signal that she had understood what Mir was thinking, Wei-Yang's face grew dark in the candlelight. She said, "You don't need to help me any longer. You are a mere mortal. There is nothing to be gained from settling a score with the court." Mir replied, "Speak no more of this matter. I must get the truth out of my old man first." Wei-Yang said, "Oh, we will pay a visit to your esteemed father. Then I must buy some fresh silk garments and make up first thing tomorrow morning." Mir replied, "He's just a regular old man. There's no need for all that." An unusually stern expression appeared on Wei-Yang's face. "Is this not your sworn duty?" So the spirit of the daughter possessed Wei-Yang. Did she get into a fight with the two men that were with her? And the daughter and the imperial court want different things. The court wants to retrieve the swords to reconstruct the divine halberd. I don't know, the master of this body knows nothing else. Although the volumes have different summaries. For volume 2 it says, Mir, having stumbled onto the journey to retrieve the swords by accident, encountered a huge crisis before the journey had even begun. Imperial Guard and Imperial Escort elites were slain by enemies holding the ominous swords. Ah, that's how they died. Amidst grave danger, Mir recalled a spell taught by his father. Legend has that the Celestial Emperor has a young daughter whose name was not known to the world. She now possessed Wei-Yang's body and revealed herself. Who would prevail, the wielder of the ominous swords who had turned into ferocious demons, or Mir who could somewhat hold his own in a fight? The way this book is written is so confusing, or the way it's presented. So, okay, the Imperial Court and the Celestial Emperor, are they two opposing forces? So it says here in the beginning, when the spirit first possessed Wei-Yang, the meteorite was in fact a divine halberd. It was snapped into pieces by a commoner and made into 9 cursed swords. This one is the Sword of Mist. Adding it to that pair, I found 3 of them to date. So the daughter has her own mission in retrieving those 9 swords. And then Mir wonders, oh, the court wants to retrieve the swords to reconstruct the divine halberd? And then she says, I don't know, the master of this body knows nothing else. So both the imperial court and the daughter of the emperor have their own goals regarding gathering all of these 9 swords. Whether it's because they want to reconstruct them or do something else, is not known yet. Okay, and then the summary for Volume 3. Just stay with the name Weiyang for convenience's sake on the road. With the official documents from the government in hand, you should be free to go as you wish throughout the kingdom. Still, worried about Weiyang, Mir decided to accompany her on her journey and kill any demon they may encounter. Though they had already collected 5 ominous swords and all seemed to be well, they knew in their hearts that the way forward would only get more treacherous and perilous. And then we are going to start Volume 4. The summary reads, "Calm down, my son. Listen, Mir, I am not your real father." No! Shut up. What is this? The once minister of imperial banquets was in truth Khan the Ashura from Jotunheim. Leaving the capital was but an act in collaboration with the minister of ceremonies and the grand secretary to protect the daughter of the celestial emperor. The late celestial emperor Shen Xiao, the now Contra Mundi, was once a dear friend of mine, but now knowing that you have all successfully summoned her, all my wishes have been fulfilled. And now Contra Mundi means against the world. It's used to describe an individual, group, or viewpoint that stands firm in defiance of popular opinion, prevailing beliefs, or widespread opposition. The late celestial emperor Shen Xiao, the now Contra Mundi. So hindsight 2020, Shen Xiao wasn't a good man, person, emperor. Volume 4. Let's read the details. Even a Buddha or an Adeptus would have found themselves powerless to do anything in this situation. This is the Sword of Flame, the Katakugosha. It was made from the shard of the divine Halberd that was the Dharani of the Fire Realm. Sorry, in language that your majesty would understand, it's made with the runes of the Fire Realm, one of the God King's 9 realms. Is this like Dante's Inferno? Well, no. Dante's Inferno was purely about hell. How could this westbound warrior display such mastery of the sword? Most who had been stripped of their intellect by an ominous sword lose their fighting instinct and any martial art that they learn. Interesting. Should I take that as an allegory that maybe the Gnosis were controlling the Archons to a degree? Weiyang nursed her broken arm and panted in the scorching hot air. Normally, her abilities would enable her to fix broken bones, but the unquenchable flames burnt relentlessly at her wound. Her sight grew blurry as she lost blood. Mir stepped in front of her, guarding her from the warrior. "I can see that you have a lot of questions. Fine, I'll tell you everything. I killed your father because he tried to stop the resurrection of the God King, and the reason I can manipulate the Fire Realm runes rather than the other way around is because the warrior from the east raised the ominous sword. It's because I am the warrior of Hunt from above, made flesh." Warrior of the Hunt? Lon? What is going on? Legend has it that the Celestial Emperor once went to war with Ashura. To prepare for the war, the Celestial Emperor selected soldiers from 3 realms and made them ascend to become his celestial army after death. Like 3 moods to prepare for war? Sometimes they were beset by inclement weather on the marsh, with thundercloud tornadoes surrounding them. The people of Zhongzhou referred to it as the soldiers of the celestial army hunting from above. I killed your father because he tried to stop the resurrection of the God King. Who is he talking to? Is he talking to Mir? Is this Khan talking? The Celestial Emperor once went to war with the Ashura. It has to be Khan. Ashura, the Ashura from Jotunheim. No, impossible. A look of disbelief appeared on the warrior's face as the ominous sword broke into pieces, and he too was sent flying from his own shoulders towards whatever destiny had in store for him next. In the chaos, Mir had brought out the sword his father had left him as inheritance. It was intended as more of a gesture of defiance than a genuine attempt to fight back, but unbeknownst to him, this was the greatest cursed sword of all that had once burned the entire world to cinders, Leviathan. If the Fire Realm runes constituted the mystery of the Fire Realm, Leviathan was its pure, unadulterated, unquenchable reality. The sword had extinguished after the world was burned, but having assimilated the rune of the Fire Realm, it burned bright once more. The whole world destroyed again. Weiyang fell unconscious as she spoke. Volume 5. There are many among the military officials who wish to unseal Axis Mundi, since the world in chaos would greatly elevate the position and importance of the martial artists. They want to wage another war of the Ashuras. He does. The tug-of-war between the civil and military officials and the schemes of the past gods once again threatens all the 9 realms, since the world in chaos would greatly elevate the position and importance of the martial artists. Also, they want to war so they can make themselves important. Legacy of a goddess. Your deeds have saved the people. You are indeed a great warrior. The crown prince, hands clasped behind his back, walked in circles around Mir, who lay prostrate on the ground. But Mir was unmoved by his words. Hand over the divine halberd, and you may have the title of Minister of Imperial Banquets. Grand Secretary will be yours too within a decade if you want it. The crown prince sat down. Well, what is your response? A lowly commoner dares not speak till his majesty permits him to rise. But now if I granted you permission to speak, it would be because you had instructed me to do so. We can't have that. As future lord of all the land... What charade is this? Said Mir as he switched to a more relaxed position. The official etiquette of the ruling dynasty does not require kowtowing? I don't know what that word is. For an audience with the crown prince, it should be the regular thrice greeting. I noticed that you are on track to become emperor, so I thought I'd come and pay my respects. There's just no need to lord it over me like this. You... What about me? Mir snapped as he stood up. I will give you half of the divine halberd, the dowry of the fire realm. I will offer to father, mostly to avoid another situation where we have remnants trying to stir up trouble. Can't hurt. As long as the portion I get looks the part, it'll be fine. This is gonna be known as the new national superweapon. Mir sat down impatiently right in front of the crown prince. I don't understand how you're such a fool when we were both raised on the same mother's milk. What? How dare you? I have nothing but respect for Lady Me serving as my wet as my wet nurse, and it's only because of the virtues she instilled in me that I am able to put up with your give the title of the Minister of Imperial Banquets to someone who cares. I'm going home. The crown prince said nothing. How about Weyang? Mir chewed his food and acted nonchalant. Oh, for the act of retrieving the swords, she was promoted to the Secretary of Ceremonies. She was not implicit in the evil plot by her father, the Imperial Grand Minister. The Minister of Ceremonies and the Grand Secretary both testified. I will see her every need is met. Something sounded odd about that, but that was fine. She was gone and his eye was restored. But to this day, there was still a dull ache, like the phantom pain of a missing limb. Volume 6. Mir once again chanted the forgotten spell. The maiden was reunited with him again. So, this is what you truly look like. The world is beyond repair. It shall be born anew from the ashes of the last. The mad celestial emperor sentenced all living things of the world to a harsh punishment. But you would understand me, wouldn't you? The nameless thief who stole the national treasure said to his lord. No apologies necessary, for you are benevolent. Now there is a new character. What is going on in this story? Volume 6, Nothingness. Oh, my daughter, the one in whom all my hopes are placed. Did I not bring you into existence that you might one day pierce me with the halberd? Awakened at last, the God King floated into the heavens to the claps of thunder and the dancing of the wind, rejoicing at his return. But she was no longer afraid. This was the moment she had been waiting for her entire life. The moment she had been made for all those eons ago. No, that was not it. The true source of her courage was the time she had spent with him. The first divine halberd, Ermin, once pierced the axis mundi and connected the 9 worlds. Now its replicas had proliferated across the heaven. Fearing the madness that would ensue following his death, the God King made one final divine halberd and named it the Veridescent Verener. Visual? In this moment, she, could finally unleash her true self. What? The first divine halberd, Ermin, pierced the axis mundi and connected the 9 worlds. Fearing the madness that would ensue following his death, because his daughter is here to kill him, the God King made one final divine halberd. So he made another one and named it the Veridescent Verener. In this moment, she could finally unleash her true self. Is she the divine halberd? The other one? Is that her name? Is it Fischl? I know there's a book here called Flowers for Princess Fischl. There it is. I can't have it because I believe it's in INAZUMA. What the hell? A commentary from the editor appears at the end of the book. Legend of the Shattered Halberd was a successful first attempt by INAZUMA's Yae publishing house to incorporate elements of Liyue culture in one of their novels. The first 5 volumes were wildly successful, becoming something of a cultural phenomenon in both INAZUMA and Liyue. Commercially, the fact that a 6th volume exists at all speaks to its success. I trust that the abrupt finale to this epic saga brought by Volume 6 will not be to our readers' displeasure. I hope. Though the ending reads like a different story entirely, I must stress that this did not arise from any attempt on our part to pressurize Mr. 9, the author, into developing material for a new series. The truth is that in his rush to meet the publishing schedule, Mr. 9 ended up diverging somewhat from his usual style. Mr. 9 simply wished to challenge himself as a writer. Naturally, we are sympathetic to the fans of the original first 5 volumes. In this spirit, we would like to announce that a special first 5 collector's edition, the Blackwood Box set, is currently in the making. Those who have grown up reading Legend of the Shattered Halberd in bookstores, this is the time to finally buy it for yourself. Also, expect to hear more tales of the Princess and Divertilong in the future. Chief Editor, Yae Publishing House. Get out of my face. Get out of my face. Don't talk to me anymore. Fuck this. That's the last book I'm reading. I'm not gonna read another book ever again. I feel like that gave me so much, or like I feel like a lot of it just went over my head. But at the same time, which is funny in hindsight, reading that publisher's note at the very end, because yeah, I would believe that Mr. 9 was pressured into creating more volumes, because the writing for this book is so messy. I couldn't make heads or tails of the events that were happening in the book. I've got nothing more to say. We're gonna move on. There are a couple of things that I want to take a look at in the archives still. Living beings. I did not know that this existed until Lysaria 02, I think that was their name, made it clear to me in the comments. Like there's this whole thing. So we're gonna go through that. Is there? Pause. Actually, can I see what the Hilichurl said? The primitive wandering inhabitants of Teyvat's wilderness. They look very similar to humanity, but seem to have lost both their intellect and spirituality. Their presence on the continent has been recorded for over 1,000 years. That's not a lot, and yet they have neither history nor civilization. Since the pitch-black calamity from 500 years ago, they've begun to spread in large numbers across the land. They're not very strong, and they lack organization, but they nonetheless bring sizable trouble to humans every once in a while. Presence on the continent has been recorded for over 1,000 years. I mean, knowing how old Teyvat is, over 1,000 years is not a lot. It is not a lot. I wonder if the hilichurls have distinct descriptions. A wise and mumbling hilichurl, one that chants of the power of Hydro. Hilichurls especially gifted in commanding the elements, who often reach the zenith of their skill in their twilight years. What sort of life would lead to such a simple creature being able to summon water and rain? Their ability to command the flowing winds stems... the Anemo-Samatrol? Their ability to command the flowing winds stems from dark, forgotten memories? What am I supposed to make of that? The Electro one, since they possess such advanced skill in creating electricity and summoning thunder, you may as well use the crackling sound to compose an elegy. The Dendro one. A grudge stirs beneath that mask, and poison ivy sprouts as hateful whispers issue forth from it. The Cryo one. These shamans remember the frosty chants, and are even more skilled in the arts of using them to entrap their foes. And finally we have the Geo-Samatrol. To the preserving mountains, these old hilichurls are but children, but their memories and experiences have guided them towards gaining power over rock and stone. Why is the Anemo one the most suspicious? Hello? Why is it always Anemo? Why is it always the Wind Venti? Pyro Abyss Mage. Abyss creatures who command the power of Pyro in battle. For unknown reasons, Abyss Mages are able to communicate with the Hilichurls. Abyss Mages don't count as Hilichurls. I thought they were just a different species of Hilichurl. For some unknown reason, Abyss Mages are able to communicate with the Hilichurls, thus enabling them to manipulate their minds easily. They say that Abyss Mages utter a long-forgotten language from which they draw magical power. The Hydro Abyss Mage. Stories circulate among adventurers that Abyss Mages are at the lowest rung of the Abyss Order's hierarchy, and that they roam the various lands to scheme fell deeds of destruction. though they also often make fun of those abyss mages, saying that the most harm they can do is to cause rheumatism or a common cold. Their power is not to be underestimated. No, fuck this bitch and their fuck-ass bubbles. Cryo Abyss Mage. Though they dabble with great power and can even create icicles by condensing and freezing water vapor in the atmosphere, their bodies are very vulnerable in and of themselves. Once their protective wards had been broken, they are at your mercy. I see another type of mage here. Not sure what element it would be. Motherfucker, is this gonna be Electro? Is this gonna match the 4 cycles from the prayer set? I'm never moving on from that fuck-ass set. The Abyss Herald. Servants of the Abyss Order that use Hydro in combat. These silent figures are the vanguards of the Abyss, brandishing tidal blades that can engulf everything in an instant, crumpling armor and obliterating heretics. They shall bring preordained damnation upon the foolish masses. I wonder if the Abyss Heralds are also going to be like only 4. There's a Pyro Herald, a Cryo Herald, and an Electro Herald. But I see something else here, but I can't tell what it is. Geo Vishap Hatchling. A young Vishap with a hard Geo exoskeleton. Vishaps are exceptionally agile creatures that one would be wise not to underestimate in battle. Experts from Sumeru Academia believe that they become dragons when fully grown. Well, yeah, by avoiding predators and natural disasters. Perhaps they can even live long enough to become formidable beasts that reign over entire mountains. A mature Geovishap. It is said that after many years have passed, Geovishap hatchlings will shed the armor that originally protected them and become Geovishaps. These two and the older, greater Primo Geovishaps have spent many years hibernating under the mountains and have only emerged and become active in recent times. As such, none can personally attest to having witnessed or recorded such a thing in person. Oh, so no one has seen them grow? And then there's the Primo Geovishap. After many years, the awesomely powerful Primo Geovishap grow accustomed to change in their elemental environment. Folktales hold that after the great draconic calamity that led to the ruination of the Tianchue Valley, the overlord of the Geovishaps and the Primo Geovishaps were imprisoned. Were imprisoned deep beneath the earth, and so too did they burrow into deep and unseen places, awaiting their chance to rise once more. Okay, we're gonna read the archive not definitions. What do we call these? The archive notes on Storm Terror. One of the 4 winds of Mondstadt, Dvalin, the dragon of the east. With the passage of long years and amid boundless darkness, even the purest gem will become dulled by dust, and even the noble dragon might be corrupted and cankered by hatred. But never forget that dust can be wiped away, and the power of doubt and poison can be shattered. Fly freely in the sky, just like you did in those days when we met, when I walked upon this land and sang the songs of the wind, and you soared on high, looking down on the world from above. Today the sky is no longer swept by wind and snow. The green grass grows all over the earth, and it is beautiful. If you too could walk the earth and listen to the songs of shepherds, and the scattered sounds of winds chimed in the distance, if you could have tasted wine as sweet as honey, you would understand. How wonderful it would have been if you were as I, witnessing your noble, beautiful forms as you soared through the blue sky. Then you would know that this sky and this earth are both things worth fighting for. Is this Venti? Oh, look at how much. Oh, I can spin them around. Oh, did not know I could do that. Oh, look at. Now Boreas is next. Look at how majestic he looks. Look at the wings. Blood clot is still there. Can I not remove it? Oh, he looks so soft and fluffy. Ah, my man. Look at him. Boreas, I will forever mourn you. His wings are so cool. What an amazing creature. Anyway, let me focus. The noblest and greatest of souls, who watches over the Lupikal of Wolvendom. When the wolf pack is imperiled, it will emerge in the form of a wolf and show forth its fangs and claws. The wolves of Wolvendom are frightening phantoms to the people of Mondstadt, a blurred shape flashing through the forest, chilling how in the indeterminate distance, the creeping sense of eyes constantly nailed to their backs. Humans rarely have the opportunity to lock their eyes with the wolf, for this is the law Lupus Boreas laid down for its race. Rarely have the opportunity to lock their eyes with a wolf. I mean, you and I can definitely. I mean, I have special privilege. Don't worry about it. Child Tartaglia, 11th of the Fatui Harbingers. He draws power from the Oh, yeah. From the ominous delusion he possesses and fights using martial arts that he learned in a land of darkness. He is a pure warrior with an insatiable lust for battle. Each bloody conflict, each life and death struggle is a delightful trial to him. People say that the young child is famed throughout the land for his battle prowess, but he has never taken big talk of this kind to heart. After all, you shall ever be the eye of the storm, and the clashing of steel shall ever accompany you. The pitch-black memory of stepping into uttermost darkness shall at last become the strength by which you will overturn this world. Is this something Skirk told him? You shall ever be the eye of the storm. Either Skirk or the Tsaritsa, but the way this is said, not that I know anything about the Tsaritsa, this feels like something Skirk would say, I feel. And finally we have Ejdaha. An enormous dragon. Wait, let's admire him. God, he's a big boy. Look at him. I wish I could flip him over to look at his tummy, but I can't do that. An enormous dragon as ancient as the mountains themselves. In an age that has all but faded from memory, he stood shoulder to shoulder with one who ruled over a harbor of stone. But in the end, the two came into conflict, and the dragon was banished to a dark place deep underground. Over the long years of his imprisonment, his power has slowly dissipated. He also became disfigured from the various kinds of erosion he has been subjected to. The faint rattling of this dragon lord's shackles and his deep angry growl echo through the bowels of the mountains like memories of a bygone era. Do you guys think Ejdaha will return? Like we will see him again? It feels like it, right? Because the conclusion from Zhongli's Story Quest Part 2 didn't feel like a proper conclusion. And I think it was alluded to that Ejdaha might still return. I forgot what the specific words was, but they did allude to that. And a part of me was like, oh, I kind of want that, but also I don't kind of want that because I don't want him and Zhongli to fight again. I'm gonna go back to the other side now. There you go. Because the text now is over here. Now we're gonna read the drops from each of the bosses we've fought so far, starting with Dvalin's Plume. A dragon's feather that has experienced more than 1,000 years worth of winds. One senses within it a yearning for freedom so strong that it could whip up a light breeze to rescue it from its current confines. Its former owner's recognition of you is what makes it content to stay in your hands. Oh, I'm not gonna cry over Dvalin again, but this is so sweet. Its former owner's recognition of you is what makes it content to stay in your hands. Dvalin, I love you. Dvalin's Claw, a dragon claw that once contained the shadow dragon... Durin. The shadow dragon Durin's vile poison. Having torn through the latter's flesh in battle, thanks to your purification and healing, it's no longer toxic. Finally, we have Dvalin's Sigh. The dragon of the East's physical form is beautiful and transparent. Both trade winds and tornadoes will work in his name. The winds move as his companion, his voice and his freedom. His enemies are the thousands who stand against the wind. I love Dvalin. See, even the bosses that are in Mondstadt are peak. Everything about Mondstadt is perfect. Tale of Boreas. Even without his physical body and beyond death, Boreas still possesses extraordinary powers. He took a form compromised of ice and wind to embrace a new challenge, but even such a form could not house all of his power. The ice scales that fell during the battle still retain some of their spiritual energy. Ring of Boreas. This land was once a realm of freezing cold blizzards and ice storms filled with razor-sharp ice shards, all at the command of Boreas. Though his power may have diminished, he could still freeze the land in an instant. Ugh, he's so cool. The spirit locket of Boreas. This land was once a realm of freezing cold blizzards and ice storms filled with razor-sharp shards, all at the command of Boreas. In his final moments, he finally realized that the chilling north wind could only extinguish life, not nurture it. Therefore, Boreas let his power freely flow into the land to protect it and its inhabitants. Oh, next we have Child. Tusk of Monoceros? I don't know why I want to say that with like a Spanish accent. It is said that the shape of one's constellation determines one's character. The image of a whale cruising across the celestial heights represents a solipsism that seeks to crush and devour all in its path. Embracing this aspect of himself, Child gleefully summoned one such beast before throwing himself into battle against you. Shard of a foul legacy. Stained with a profound color not of this world. The abyss. No doubt due to the land of endless darkness that the young boy saw with his own two eyes. Perhaps it has nothing to do with the power of a delusion, but as they say, the weapon reflects its user. the product of a will to fight that has been honed over countless slaughters. If humans do indeed have destinies, then his must surely have been twisted by such deeds. Why else then would he always be at the heart of every conflict? He's just, you know, living his best life, I think. Ajdaha, Dragon Lord's crown. Horns created from hardened jade crystallized over 1,000 years are the natural crown of the Dragon King. Infused with spirit and carved from bedrock, it was born from the mountain's heart to show the strength of the earth and of the land amidst monoliths, and its long golden horns are the mark of its ancient strife with an ancient lord. For a time, this horn was shattered and lost its luster, but now it gleams cold and gold as it sits in your palm. Blood's jade branch. Nurtured by the might of the Dragon King, these bone branches glitter with strange, unique colors. Hatred coursed through the natural streams and kissed the cold monolith, and from them were these crystalline branches born and grown. Even though they were severed in battle, these branches, steeped in dragon blood, rustle as if eternally ill at ease. And finally, we have the Gilded Scale, scaled armor that grows naturally over mystical stone, tough and silent, filled with the strength of the Dragon King. Across the years, as countless generations return to the mulch of the earth, gold and obsidian embedded... Obsidian? That's the name of my little buddy, my Tibetless buddy. Gold and obsidian embedded themselves into flesh and blood, forged from bedrock before spreading and turning into scales. Searing agony, wordless cries, perhaps they will all vanish when the grudges that spawned them too finally come to an end. Now, there are weapon ascension stuff that I'd like to go over, as well as like the boss. Actually, let's go through the world boss drops, or like all of the bosses that we know from the 1.0 map. So we're going to start with the animal hypostasis. Codename Beth. A high purity animal entity. Elemental hypostases are life forms which have completely abandoned their former appearance and biological structure, making them able to reach the highest level of elemental purity. Research into hypostases is mainly led by scholars of Sumeru academia, but due to the level of danger that they pose, little of substance is known about the hypostases beyond their scientific name and code name. Why do they have code names? Is it the Sumeru academians who gave them code names? Let's see. They drop hurricane seeds. The imploded form of an animal hypostasis upon its defeat contains the essence of animal energy. It is said that the power to create hurricanes resides within its seemingly fragile body. This butterfly of pure animal energy must surely be waiting for the day when it can conjure up storms once again. Storms? Was this a remainder from the Caribbean times? I wonder. Let's see the drops. The animal shards. Still the winds change direction. Someday they will blow towards a brighter future. Take my blessings and live leisurely from this day onward. Oh, Venti. Is this not... Do you guys see the symbol behind the shard? Is this not the thing on Paimon's chest? Literally. That's literally the thing on her chest, except I can't see if it has the dot in it, because conveniently, the shard would be covering whatever is here. Interesting. The electrohypostasis. Codename Elif. Elif, like the first alphabet of the Arabic language. Elif, a high purity electro entity. Elemental hypostases are the highest forms of elemental structures, usually formed either at a location bursting with elemental energy or at a clogged ley line. Elemental hypostases have developed defensive mechanisms based on their elemental attributes. Why? Why do you feel the need to defend yourself? See the drops. An electrohypostasis channels nearby elemental energy to repair damaged elemental entities. Contains the essence of electro energy. An ordinary prism separates white light into its component colors. A lightning prism, however, channels flowing energies and weaves them into lightning. It will continue to do so even after the electrohypostasis has been defeated. And then the gemstone. This body is the noblest and most eminent of all in this world. It should hold absolute control over this world. It once promised its people a dream, the never-changing eternity. Oh, this is Raiden. Oh, this is Raiden Shogun. It promised its people a dream, never-changing eternity. This body is the noblest. Sounds kind of arrogant, but it's fine. The cryohypostases, codename Dalith, a high-purity cryo-entity. Research suggests that there are subtle differences between elemental hypostases and other elemental life forms in terms of their physical composition. Perhaps these differences can account for their high level of homeostasis and their almost mechanical movements. They aren't machines, right? They couldn't be. An ice crystal of exceeding purity that is created in the frigid blooming of a cryohypostasis. These frosty crystals will continue... Oh, I just realized, is the gem gonna reveal a bit about the Tsaritsa? My focus completely shifted because we learned about Raiden in the previous one. These frosty crystals will continue to grow according to their own cold, rigid laws, till one day a flower of winter shall bloom and freeze everything. Perhaps it is stagnant time, that never-thawing bosom, that is the essence of this undying flower. Stagnant time. The jade. Sorry to also have you shoulder the grievances of the world. Since you could endure my bitter cold, you must have the desire to burn. Then burn away the old world for me. Who is she apologizing to? To also have you shoulder the grievances of the world. Since you can endure my bitter cold, you must have the desire to burn. Then burn away the old world for me. She's not talking to the traveler, right? I wonder who she's speaking to here. Finally, we have the geohypostasis. Gemmel, a high-purity geo-entity. Elemental hypostases are ultra-compact structures with a high mass. Concentrated elemental energy forms a solid shell around the core of the hypostases, leaving only the core reactive to elemental stimuli. The drops, a pillar formed by the shell of a geohypostasis. Composed of high-density geo-energy, it is a testament to Geo's status as the heaviest of the elements. Maybe the reason geohypostasis creates this pillar out of its shell and raises itself is just to get closer to the sky, not to combat enemies. Interesting. Very interesting. Why do you want to get closer to the sky? Huh? I wonder if the hypostases mimic the respective archons in any way. Like if we take the drops for the animal hypostasis, it is said that the power to create hurricanes resides within its seemingly fragile body. Does this not also kind of refer to Venti? Like it could be used to describe Venti, no? This butterfly of pure animal energy must surely be waiting for the day when it can conjure up storms once again. Maybe Venti is waiting for a certain day as well. Let me see what the electrohypostasis says. No, this doesn't really give anything that I can make sense of. The cryohypostases continue to grow according to their own cold, rigid laws, till one day a flower of winter shall bloom and freeze everything. Perhaps it is stagnant time, that never-thawing bosom that is the essence of this undying flower. I mean, you guys would know better than I if this has anything to reference the Tsaritsa, but for the Geo, Venti and Zhongli so far are the only archons that I know well, and the drops of their respective elements' hypostasis kind of reflects them to a degree. Raises itself just to get closer to the sky, not to combat enemies. And then the gemstone says, the currencies that flow through this land are my flesh and blood, for thus did I become the guarantor of the people's hard work, wisdom, and future. This is the trust I have placed in them. Betray it and you taint my blood. That's such a hard-ass line. Betray it and you taint my blood? This Zhongli is annoyingly cool. Next we have the trees. What are they called? Plants? Regisvines. The cryo Regisvine. A monster for... Do you guys think the location of the bosses matter? It's interesting because cryo and animo are very prevalent here. Like you have the cryo hypostasis, you have the cryo hypostasis and then the cryo Regisvine. And then you also have Boreas who uses cryo and animo. And then there's obviously the animo hypostasis here that uses animo. And then we have an electro kind of like sneaking in there. I don't know if their locations have any significance, but I'm kind of wondering. Cryo Regisvine, a monster formed from a vine that was imbued with the essence of biting frost within the ley lines. Some studies suggest that plants are like the organs of the world, harmonizing the turbulent elemental energies of the ley lines. Concrete examples of this phenomenon are the mist flowers, whopper flowers, and the like, which brim over with elemental energy. In certain circumstances, certain plants will turn into creatures of monstrous size and intent, such as the cryo Regisvine in the course of many years. And then the drop says, the exposed core of a defeated cryo Regisvine. Pure cryo energy is contained within it. Energy and thoughts that swell deep within the earth will eventually erupt on the surface. Even the deathly silent frost will attach to living things on the ground, turning even ordinary vegetation like vines into predators. So it's kind of like it's infecting the land a little bit. Oh, there you go. A noble soul that watches over wolvendom. When the safety of the wolves is threatened, it will take the form of a wolf and bare its fangs and claws. It is said that its powers were given to it by an ancient god. Someone gave Boreas his power? I did not know that. What about the domain for Storm Terror. The towering but broken spire tells of its tragic story silently. Its chambers and halls are filled with memories and longing, as well as howling winds. Is that all the bosses in Mondstadt? I believe so. Okay, we're gonna move to Liyue. We have the Oceanid, which I also have not fought, actually. A life form created from condensed hydro elements of incredible purity, often attached to bodies of water. It is said that as water bodies become purer, the hydro elements within grow more abundant, causing the Oceanids to grow more powerful. It is also said by some that Oceanids were once sea creatures from a home far away who carried the fragments of a long-dead god to many corners of the world. Excuse me? Perhaps they did this so that the love their god held for this world could be spread through the waters to all land. That's so fucking sweet. What the hell? Would it be the first Hydro Archon? The fragments of a long-dead god? A life form created from condensed hydro elements of incredible purity. And then the drops read, a palmful of eternal water left by an Oceanid. Though it has already diffused among the depths of a lake, its purity remains all the same. But why would a creature so pure and clean as an Oceanid covet the appearance of a being that roams the land, and assume such a form with pure water? Why would a creature so pure and clean covet the appearance of a being that roams the land? Do they want to... Is this like the Little Mermaid? Are they trying to become human? Covet the appearance of a being that roams the land and assume such a form with pure water. So they can shapeshift? They need not breathe, nor do they require sustenance. Well, they don't eat either. Well, they can't eat, they just don't need it. I wonder what makes them... It is like a Little Mermaid plotline. The Hydro Gemstone. My ideals have no stains. I must correct you. People here bear no sins in the eyes of the gods. Only laws and the tribunal can judge someone. They can judge even me, so praise my magnificence and purity. My ideals have no stains. I must correct you. People here bear no sins in the eyes of the gods. Only laws and the tribunal? Who's the tribunal? Can I look what that means? Oh, a court of justice. Okay. Only the laws and the court can judge someone. They can even judge me, so praise my magnificence and purity. They're saying that the court can judge her. Isn't she the god? Also, wouldn't the laws be hers? I don't know. Well, we have the Primo Geovishap. Oh, this has the same... Okay, it has the same thing as in the archives. Let's just see the drops. A crystalline substance taken from a Primo Geovishaps. Within it is contained the potential to become a dragon. These dull crystals are precipitated within the bodies of Vishaps sleeping in the mountains. Liyue folklore holds that they will gather power over many years, after which this crystal will, at last, replace their original heart. And the Vishap will become a true dragon, one that can shake the mountains and split the earth. Did we read all of these? All of the gems? We did Geo, we did Electro, we did Cryo. We didn't do the Pyro yet, so let's see it. A pilgrimage for a wish, a battle to earn a name, burnt to cinders for a dream. If the intention yet remains, achieved blank's truth he has. Why is this redacted? A pilgrimage for a wish, a battle to earn a name. A name, isn't that... I remember Shalonen's trailer. Right? Forging names, that was a thing that was mentioned. Burnt to cinders for a dream. If the intentions yet remain, achieved blank's truth he has. I wonder who this is. Would this get unredacted after I do the Natlan quest? Maybe. Oh, then we have the Cryo Regis-vine, a giant vine that has absorbed the ancient flame that rages within the ley lines. It is restless as if filled with endless fury. Poets, bards, and even some academics believe that elements also contain emotions and hopes. If this is true, then one can only wonder what emotions cause the Cryo Regis-vine to burn eternally, writhing like one longing to be free of the confines of the earth. And then the drops read, a seed that fuels the unending flames of the Pyro Regis-vine. It emits pyro energy as if it will burn all that has ever sprouted from the ground. Endless desires flow among turbulent energy deep within the earth. What desire could steadily hold such fire to the plants and long so eagerly to bathe everything in unquenchable flames? If they're born purely from the ley lines, some studies suggest that plants are like organs of the world, harmonizing the turbulent elemental energies of ley lines. I don't know, but someone is very angry in those ley lines. That's all I'm getting. We will read Child's Domain. The storm clouds gathering over Liyue have finally parted, and the schemes that once gripped this land have been shattered by the combined efforts of the Chising, the Adepti, and yourself. Still, the memories of your duel with Child of the Fatui in the depths of the Golden House remain fresh in your mind. Relive this duel, and you may yet learn something new. And then Ajdaha. Across the long years, this bed of rock, carved into the very heart of the world, has imprisoned Ajdaha like a coffin. I'm so sorry, Ajdaha. Genuinely, what happened to him is so unfair. Also, I want to read what do the dream solvents say. People once believed that spirits and memories had some material form. If someone dreamed of heaven before waking up clutching a flower, then that blossom must have been made from such a fantasy. Dream solvent dissolves that which is obtained from memory and transforms it into some other dream. Indeed, blows traded with the strong are stepping stones towards becoming stronger yourself. Dissolves that which is obtained from memory and transforms it into some other dreams. I mean, I guess that falls in line with the things you have to do to get stronger. Oh, I'm tired. We're almost done. Almost done. Oh my god, it's almost 4 hours. I want to read the descriptions of the domains that are available to me. We did the Storm Terror one. See this one. The Cecilia Garden. The Cecilia flowers that only grow on high cliffs once bloomed in the greenhouses here. The ancient civilization that once enjoyed the scent of Cecilia was lost, and so too was the sea of white flowers. The ancient civilization. Which one? Brother, at this point, which one? God damn. The Midsummer Courtyard. With the fall of the ancient lost civilization, the once prosperous and magnificent Sommernachtgarten was also buried underground, leaving only its ancient trees and stones to remember its past glory. Forsaken Rift. It is said that in ancient times, people would venture into the valley to seek out the ancient tree on the altar. They would whisper their secrets into the tree hollow, relieving themselves of the burden of keeping the secret to themselves. The Forsaken Rift is filled with such long-forgotten secrets. And then we have the Valley of Remembrance. After a period of time, the people of the continent lost track of the past. They attempt to explore downward, searching for the things that they had forgotten. On the other side of the ancient tree's hollow, the secrets of yesterday become today's treasures. Also, these two are connected. On the other side of the ancient tree's hollow, then there's the Peak of Vindagnir. The city entombed in snow once had a proud, romantic name to call its own, just as the mountain itself was once lush and verdant in the ancient past. But after the nail that froze the skies over descended upon this mountain, the festive site where priests ascended to face the heavens can no longer hear its voice, nor will those priests ever return again. Is this the chief? The chief priests from the prayer set. So South Vindagnir was one of the civilizations, or one of the cycles, that were destroyed. I don't like this game. Ridgewatch. Standing proudly over the start of the ridge, those ancient city ruins overlook both north and south, both mountain and river. Like a boundary marker, legend has it that its gates and blessings are only open to those whose hearts are lit with an eternal blaze. Okay, we're going to transition here to Liyue's domains. A hidden place of Zhou formula. There is a secret ritual that can conceal 1 gate out of 8, cutting off the route for evil to escape. This ritual was performed here long ago, sealing demons within this labyrinth. Rumor has it that the method to fit pillars with the Zhou formula presently seals an evil chi. The chi of yore. Yes, because it was over here. Okay, it makes sense. Next we have the hidden palace of Lianshan formula. The operation of the Lianshan formula created endless thunderstorms within the bowels of the mountains. It is said that the rumbling sounds of thunder that one hears outside the domain gates call out to curious souls. I will read the weapon materials after we're done with everything. There's the Troyan Karst domain. Once, people who sought the path of the Adepti had to pass the trials of heaven and earth. Taishan Mansion served as the trial of earth. Now that the Adepti have long departed from this realm, Taishan Mansion has also turned into a common treasure trove. And then we have Clear Pool and Mountain Cavern. Mount Outsung is a place of secret wonders. What at first merely seems like a beautiful scenery in fact conceals a stone cave that connects to the heavens and breathes out clouds. Nonetheless, this is not how the saying where the clouds emerge was derived. I believe that's... Oh, no, wait, I forgot the domain here in the forest. Delusions and disappointments of an ancient ambition to lead humanity are gathered here. It refuses to give up on its lofty ambitions, though it is for now consigned to fester in the cavernous depths of Guyun. Is this talking about Usayo? Or just like maybe the previous gods and monsters, the countless ones that Zhongli got rid of? The last thing I have to do is I'm gonna read the talent books and the weapon ascension materials, and that's gonna wrap up everything for this video. I'm so exhausted, holy shit. Okay, so for Mondstadt's domain, we're gonna start with Teachings of Freedom. Freedom is the spirit of the land of the wind. The freedom to live is one of such. It is the freedom to live freely and healthily without concerns of one's safety. Freedom is the spirit of the land of the wind. The freedom of travel is one of such. It is the freedom to traverse the land freely without being obstructed. To sing is one such freedom. To sing on the land created by the Anima Archon is to send your heart away with songs on the wind. Then we have resistance. The history of Mondstadt is one of resistances. People rose up to prevent past conflicts from ever being forgotten. Like sprouts breaking through the soil, like the eternal wind eroding through stone walls. People rose up to grant the citizens of Mondstadt the freedom they now enjoy, like the Anima Archon blowing away the snow, or like Vanessa rising up to fight. People rose up to allow the future Mondstadt's poetry to freely be that of the wind and be spread across the land. Then we have ballad. Poetry is the soul of the land of the wind. Poetry is the manifestation of beautiful feelings. On a beautiful day, the breezes carry with them poetry that touches the heart of people like the wind caressing the leaves. Poetry is the manifestation of the will to encourage. In the dark days, the gales in the streets and alleyways whisper words of fury, like the battle drums, like the low rumbling of the storm. Poetry is the manifestation of the desire to spread the word. Though nothing is eternal, though nothing will be the same, the wind's poetry will still lead beyond the skies. Beyond the skies, the land, and the seas to every corner of the world. Then we have Mondstadt's weapon domain. We read the Decarabian one. Did we read the Wolfang one? I kind of want to read these just in case. Andrias's wolf pack is its blessed honor guard, and even the milk teeth of a wolf cub possesses great potential. In the past, the gods had the responsibility to love all people. Andrias was therefore quite unusual in that he became leader of the wolves, while only welcoming abandoned babies and wanderers when it came to humans. The life of a wolf is not without violence. Broken bones or cracked teeth are nothing special. Andrias found humans to be a disappointment, but believed babies to be innocent. If both the wolf pack and the adopted children chose each other, then they become a Hilichurl, a fated family. The wolf pack also understands that humans are not solitary creatures. The honorary broken tooth is a parting gift said to bring protection and luck. In the legends of a far-off world, a female wolf once adopted two great humans. Their home was known as the Cave of Wolves, or Lupercal, the word meaning the same thing as Lupercal does in this world. The Wolf King, believing himself to despise humans, thought himself unable to envision a happy life for humanity, making him unworthy of becoming the Lord of the Winds of the world. Therefore, he chose to disappear. Yet, in truth, he gazes on the ones abandoned by the world ever so gently. Right, because he was fighting Decarabian back in the day, right? Before, I'm assuming he and Venti made a deal. And he became one of the Four Winds. I love Boreas. Next we have Fetters of the Dandelion Gladiator. It's a human thing to exaggerate a hero's story, even to the point of elevating the fetters that once bound the hero to the level of an enemy of true freedom. As a result, these fetters were granted extraordinary powers. I just realized these are fucking shackles. Holy shit. The chains that once bound the great hero Vanessa. In truth, all gladiators would have worn chains in that era, and Vanessa was but one of many. Vanessa was not truly bound by her chains. If she had so wished, no ordinary physical constraints forged in Mondstadt could have held her, for the land there yielded no ore of exceptional quality, nor did it possess the divine flame of her ancestral home. She was only bound by her responsibility to take care of her tribespeople. Vanessa may have been freed from slavery, but she then found herself subject to many other even greater forms of bondage. What began as a duty to her tribespeople extended to all of Mondstadt, then to the concept of freedom itself, and beyond a point even to the whole world. What she really hoped for, in truth, was that the world might grow stronger. That is the conclusion of Mondstadt's lore, and now we are moving on to Liyue. The first talent book is Prosperity. Prosperity is the people's pursuit in the land of Geo. Prosperity is the blessing of Liyue. It is the foundation of the great city built by the gods and the people of Liyue. And it is the source of peace and safety in the land. Prosperity is the promise made by Liyue to its children to repay the hard-working laborers with enough gold to brighten up this world. Prosperity is the people's pursuit in the land of Geo. Prosperity is Liyue's past, present, and future. This prosperity is unmatched and unobtainable by any other nation. It all belongs to Liyue and its inhabitants. Diligence. Industriousness is the foundation of the land of Geo. Diligence is having the bravery and strength to conquer mountains and seas to pursue gold and prosperity through honest, hard work. Industriousness is the catalyst that flows in the blood of the people of Liyue, able to turn rocks into gold. It is what lies behind the greatness of its great commercial port. Industriousness is believing in one's own ability to earn a place in the land of the gods through sweat, wisdom, and power. And the final talent book is Gold. Gold is the symbol of the land of Geo. Gold is the blood that flows deep within Liyue's veins, the muscle that makes up Liyue's beating heart, and the bones that make Liyue stand proud. Gold symbolizes conversion. This is the unspoken understanding between Liyue in mountains, lands, cities, and people. In Liyue, industriousness is converted into gold, and gold into prosperity. Oh, I love how all of that cycles to keep the machine going in Liyue. Gold is the wealth of Liyue, but Liyue's true wealth is the heart of its people that shine like gold. And finally, the final thing, this is the last thing I'm gonna read. My throat is starting to hurt all over again. It's the weapons that are the Liyue talent weapon essentials. I can't even talk anymore, I'm so tired. The sands from Guyun. The stone pillars that tower amid Guyun Stone Forest were once the stone spears Morax used to defeat his enemies. Oh, you know what? That does look like his pillars. Over time, the god's substance has seeped into the pillars that pin them down, lending them divine power. The pillars sometimes shed fragments of hatred and curses. The learned know that Guyun Stone Forest is far more than simply a miraculous sight on the sea to behold. It is the cemetery of the former gods of Liyue. Hatred and filth have periodically risen up from it, but all have been subdued by a demon-conquering young man. Oh. The stone spear has a glimmering core formed by the power of the defeated gods. Their hatred is not directed at Morax, however, for they have lost themselves a long time ago and are incapable of holding personal grudges. And who's their hatred directed to? Celestia for starting this whole bullshit. That which lurks within and animates this relic are the divine remains of lamenting gods. They are unrealized ideals, designs for a prosperous humanity that could never be. They may now lie deep within stone and sea, but they will not go quietly into the night. Damn, it's kind of sad when they put it like that. Designs for a prosperous humanity that could never be. Because each god has their own vision on what leading humanity would look like to them. Obviously some good, some bad, but when they phrased it like that, just the amount of possibilities, God. Next we have the Misveiled Elixir. Dreyun Karst is the realm of the mighty and illuminated Adepti, but other than the ability to control the elements of the world, Dreyun Karst is also home to 3 other untold secrets: alchemy, sigils, and subspace creation. With Fulu, sigils, the Adepti can store their power in the form of symbols, and with Waijing, subspace creation, they can fashion a cosmic paradise with the power of their minds. The manufacture of elixirs, however, has always been shrouded in mystery. For certain death follows any who swallow them. Elixirs are in fact pills made from metal alloys. They were created by the Adepti and are able to grant weapons transcendent power. However, they are rarely seen in the world due to the hubris of the practitioners of martial arts, who prized the way of combat over the path of the Adepti. An elixir of the highest quality, it embodies a state of intertwining order and chaos, and is said to mirror how the world was when it was first created. Of course, a certain someone knows that this was not the case. A certain someone? Zhongli? Probably. And finally, we have the Aerosidrite. A black meteor once fell beyond... Oh. Another one? A black meteor once fell beyond Liyue's sea of clouds, said to have fallen to vanquish a... Oh, no, wait, this is Zhongli's alt. Okay, I thought it was... Never mind. It says meteor, not meteor. Okay. Said to have fallen to vanquish a monster. However, it was stained by powerful tainted blood, so this item no longer possesses the pure power of Rex Lapis. Oh. Rumors of sea monsters are commonplace in Liyue, since the other shore is Since the other shore is an unknown region that lies outside of Teyvat. The other shore? Without the protection of the Seven, all that lies beyond is unknown chaos. Only power beyond the Order of Teyvat is able to stain the power of Rex Lapis black. Only power from beyond the Order of Teyvat. So Abyss, the other shore is an unknown region that lies outside of Teyvat. So the end of the continent? Oh, wait, but INAZUMA's over here. Or is it like out there? Like when creatures or whatever swim from outside, they come directly here? Even though Mondstadt is closer, but I don't know. The coastal nations of Teyvat refer to the region beyond the protection of the Seven as the Dark Sea. It is said that many defeated gods refused to live under the new order of the Seven, so they fled to remote islands and became evil gods. However, their powers came from the same source as Rex Lapis, separate from this all-devouring darkness. I'm confused. Is that talking about the Abyss? Or are they talking about the Gnosis? Because the Gnosis were only given out after all of the Archons were chosen. So all 7 seats and all 7 Archons had gotten there first by their own merit before being given a Gnosis. So because the Gnosis is not the source of their power. So something more original to Teyvat? I don't know. But I'm assuming darkness would, like, it's always been referring to the Abyss, so... When Khaenri'ah was destroyed, a great sinner created endless monsters... Gold. Fucking gold. A great sinner. Also, wait, when Khaenri'ah was destroyed? So she only did it... she only did it after Khaenri'ah was destroyed. Not during? Because I thought that might have been the reason they kind of wiped them out. A great sinner created endless monsters with dark alien blood flowing through their veins. They rampaged across the land, destroying all in their path. They were mutated life forms, and the mutations were caused by powers from beyond this world. The black serpentine dragon Durin that attacked Mondstadt was such mutated being. So I guess all of her creations were post Khaenri'ah being destroyed. I guess that gives her like a smidge of rightful anger. Just a smidge. If she did it as a retaliation to what they did to her nation. I still hate her though. I still don't think what she did is right. But man, I don't know. I hate that we ended this stream with fucking gold. With gold mentions, I should have... God damn it. Whatever. We're not gonna let her taint the joy that comes from this achievement because, ladies and gentlemen, we are done with version 1.0 content. At least for now. Because I know there's a lot of stuff I still didn't read. Probably some stuff I missed. Holy shit. Oh my god, this is the final thing. This is it. We're gonna move on to INAZUMA. We have the prologue to do, but like, I mean, that's the start of INAZUMA. I'm so excited. Thank you guys. I apologize. First of all, I apologize for the wait. A lot of things happened. As of me talking right now, I've been recording for 4 hours and 13 minutes. And I know my other video was also like 2 hours. So it's in total, it's been 6 hours, I believe. I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna edit this, but you guys better watch it. You better watch and you better like it, because I'm so tired. I'm so fucking tired. But no, this was actually such a journey. I loved it. The amount of lore, everything that we've learned, everything that we discovered, answers a lot more questions. And I'm looking forward to starting INAZUMA with you guys. Thank you so much. And I will see you in the next video.